Hang on. Did that look all right? I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, I can show you how to do it from StreamYard, so you haven't got to share your screen.
Oh,
As
okay.
well.
Well, anyway,
No,
so
it's,
anyway,
it's very good though. Very good.
that was a little intro I was trying. I don't know if it works or not, but there you go. It was different. So anyway, I'm Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again. Tonight it's going to be the third positive Arsenal podcast, and there's obviously a lot of positive things going on after the transfer window that we've had. So it's going to be some good stuff. If you're in the chat, so if you've got any comments you want to make, add in, just put some comments in the chat. We'll put them up and discuss that as well. As you can see, I've got some great guests with me tonight. If we start with Paul, you all right, mate? How you doing? You all right?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. We seem to have got our sound issues out of the way, which while we're a little bit late. We've also got Ryan, of course. Are you all right, mate, as well?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for the invite as well.
No problem at all. It's great to have you on. And he's become a bit of a regular on the Positive podcast. Andrew's his third time in a row, actually. So he's got 100% record. Good.
Yeah, I'm really honoured. Fantastic to be back on. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me. And you said you've got some great guests. You've got some great guests than me. So that's all right.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that's even better. So if we kind of get started, and I mean, the first thing I really want to talk about was we've started the season now with 4 Premier League games in, plus of course the Carabao Cup as well. What have we sort of made of the start that we've made? I know results-wise have been pretty positive, but overall with the performances and stuff like that, what are your kind of thoughts so far on how things have gone, all things considered? If we start with you, Paul, what are your kind of thoughts so far the season as it started?
I think if you take the results out of it, I think the performances, I think that Fulham game led us into a little bit of false pretense, really. Fulham were awful that first game, and I think they went quite a distance to make us look maybe better than we possibly were. The West Ham game wasn't a great performance, but managed obviously to scrape a few the points. The Leicester game in the Carabao Cup again was a decent performance because it's always a tough place to go, albeit it was a pretty weakened Leicester side. So I don't think the performances. I think we towards the back end of last season, the performances I felt were possibly better than they are at the start of this season. But it's always positive if you're not at full pelt and you can still pick up points, and I think that's definitely a positive. So I think there's improvement. We can definitely improve. But yeah, pretty pleased with the start of the season and the points we've picked up, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think we 9 points out of 12 isn't bad, is it? Anyway, regardless of how well we've played, I'm sure we can get better. What about yourself, Ryan? What have you sort of made of it all so far? The first sort of 4 Premier League games in particular.
Well, taking the positives out of it, the performances have been a lot to be desired. Bar the Fulham game, like Paul says, it sort of lured us into a false sense of security. We thought maybe we were a bit further ahead of what we are, but we've still got the results in there today. The results that last season under Unai Emery and at the start of Arteta's reign, we were dropping points in playing like that. So I'll take the positives out of that. That was actually maturing in the way that we're actually taking the 3 points and we're coming away with 3 points no matter what.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we win games and we're not playing well, that's a good sign, I guess, isn't it? What about yourself, Andrew? What have you made of it so far? The start that we've made.
I'm really happy with it. I think the performances haven't been that bad. I think we've been steady. I think consistency is going to win the league this year. And you look at the results that have been going on. After we beat West Ham, they went on to thump Leicester and who's the other one?
Wolves.
Yeah. So 3-0 and 4-0. So I don't think our West Ham result was as bad as people thought at the time. And we didn't even beat Sheffield United last year when he got a point off them. So I don't know is there anything to be negative about, really? I'm quite happy with it. And we bear in mind the fact that we could have actually got a lot more out of the Liverpool game than we did. Let's not beat around the bush. They should have had a man sent off after 2 minutes, and we missed. We cut them open really quite easily in the second half on a few occasions, and then you see what Aston Villa have done to them, a team that we rescued from relegation last season. So,
Yeah, we did.
so at the end of the day, I'm quite happy with it. And when you consider what Arteta's doing with the players and not playing what he actually wants to play, sort of team wise and formation wise and everything, he's just trying to get the best out of the players that he's had at his disposal. And when you consider the people that players that have been playing most weeks, who would have thought Elneny would have been pretty much an ever-present this season, and that we've still got the same defenders. Obviously we've got the Gabriel now as well, which is fantastic. But yeah, I think we've been doing really well personally. I know that some of the halves have been a bit poor, but look at what everyone else is playing like at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to mention our rivals, Chelsea. You look at what Chelsea do. Everybody else is very inconsistent. So, and I think going back to that Liverpool game, I think that third goal was a bit harsh. I'm not sure we deserve that. And like you say,
handball.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, I mean, Lacazette had 2 really, really good chances. You take one of them, even it up again, and it's potentially a different game. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the points that we've picked up.
Yeah,
I think we'd have took 9 points, wouldn't we, before the season started in 4 games. Bearing in mind we had Liverpool away, nobody seems to pick up much there. So I think we've got to be happy with the results. I just feel as though the performances at home in particular haven't quite been to the maybe level that we would hope they would have been. Maybe I think Fulham and away games we're going to play a lot more open football. I think because of the counter-attacking style that we've got. Whereas at home, when we've got to break teams down, that's where we've been struggling. Hopefully that might change now going forward. But I think that's been, I wouldn't say it's a negative as such, because winning games is never a negative, is it? If you win games 1-0 every week when you don't deserve to, it doesn't matter, does it? You're happy. But I just felt like 2 home performances have been slightly, I would say, disappointing maybe for what I was maybe expecting. And I think away from home we've maybe played better actually. Bearing in mind
we're winning away. We can't take that away from Receiver. We're actually winning away games, and we haven't won away for consistently for years, have we?
Yeah, look. That's the thing. It's sort of carried over from the back end of last season and before around March time as well. He's made us hard to beat as a whole. And I was going to say, do you think with bringing Partey in now, that's going to sort of help out of our home performances, what he brings to the table?
100%, yeah.
Hopefully, I think. To be honest with you, you're saying about the away wins. I mean, you think since Arteta's been in towards the end of last season, we've won away at Wolves, who are obviously a good side, difficult to beat away. We've won away at Leicester in the Cup, again a difficult team to beat. We've knocked Liverpool out of the Carabao Cup on penalties at Anfield. We've had some decent away. Southampton as well, where we generally struggle. We got a win there, didn't we? So I do think away from home, the way we're set up is suited to the way that we play. Actually, I just feel that sometimes at home games is where we do struggle to break teams down. We've had, not just this season, but even towards the end of last season as well. We had that Leicester game. We couldn't finish them off, could we, when we started well? And, we managed to hold on and beat Watford in the end. But they, it was a struggle for that as well, wasn't it, beating them? And we've had a few home games, and I'd say this season as well. So I think for me, the thing that needs to improve at the moment is maybe the way we're playing at home, as we can maybe just kill teams off a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. We're just struggling a little bit, aren't we, at the moment? So I'd like to see us maybe win our home games a little bit more comfortably sometimes, and because it's been quite nervous, isn't it, watching the home game so far.
You think the lack of fans? I mean, obviously that affects every team, but obviously not having any fans there, maybe that's.
It's also the complete lack of pre-season or anything. It's just a weird time. That's all got to be taken into account. Arteta's not had any extended length of time with the players on the training pitch, has he?
No.
Not really, no.
So
no, that's true,
all this has got to be taken into account, and I think our consistency is going to stand us in really good stead this year. And like you said, Ryan, we're really hard to beat. We really are. And I think Jurgen Klopp is saying the same. So,
and I think adding Partey into that equation now, the experience he has to go. There's a tweet the other day on Monday when all the news was breaking. That obviously we made the release clause and all that. Obviously, Houssem Aouar would have improved us, but Partey evolves us into the next level.
Yeah.
I always said he'd be transformational. It's a transformational signing.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of that kind of moves on to the next part anyway, obviously about the deadline day, the transfer window in general. I mean, what are your thoughts overall of the transfer window, bearing in mind everybody that we've brought in, the players that have gone out as well? And do you think it's been a good window overall for us? What do you think, Paul? Do you think it's been a good window? Are you happy with it?
If anybody says no, I'm questioning why, really. When you look at the only negative for me really is that we failed to get rid of a few more players. That was we didn't have quite as many outgoings as I'd like to have seen. But in terms of incomings, obviously we missed out on that creative player, which we spoke about on Ryan's channel last week. But I think Partey's huge. I don't think anybody can underestimate just how big that signing in. But I actually think Gabriel is just as important, because now when you look at that spine of that team that we've got now, you've got Leno in goal, Gabriel at centre back, you've got Partey now, Oba up top. You look, that's a really solid spine to kind of build round and kind of build on. So I think that the incomings I'm really, really pleased with. I would have liked to have seen a creative player come in, but I think that's more being a little bit greedy than anything. I think for Arteta to be able to do it all in one window like that was maybe a bit too much to ask. I just wish we could have shipped out a couple more, really, and just obviously the Kolasinac deal, by the sounds of it, fell through last minute, which was a shame because that would have been a good move for everybody, I think. And then people like Socrates as well. If we could have just got them off the wage, but would have gone a long way. But I mean, overall, really happy with the window. I don't think we could have really done much more, given when you take everything into account with the restrictions financially, with COVID, everything else. I think we've done really, really well and good business. I think Gabriel and Partey are going to be massive for us, absolutely huge.
No, definitely, I agree with that. They're the two players that we've been needing for a number of years, aren't they? And I mean, Gabriel's obviously straight away settled in, fantastic. Let's hopefully Partey can do the same. I don't see why he won't be able to. Quality player. So, I mean, those two players for me are what we've needed. I'm not saying that's all we need. We still need to improve other areas maybe as time goes on. But like you said, for one window for Arteta, that's not a bad effort, is it really? I mean, what do you think, Ryan? Are you sort of fairly positive about the window?
Well, as you know, on my channel, I've been saying for pretty much the whole transfer window itself. Even prior to it, I said if we address the areas we actually need addressing, I'll be happy, and we have. And it would have been nice to get rid of some of the players like Socrates and Kolasinac, but it's got to be. It's always, as I've been saying for the last couple of days on my channel, it's always going to be hard when these players, these players, all due respect, have been put on insanely high wages and they won't take a pay cut. There's clubs interested, clearly, but they just won't take the pay cut. That makes it even harder for the likes of Edu and Arteta have walked in and inherited this mess, so to speak. And I don't get why people are then getting on their back, because they're not the ones that gave them the contract in the first place. If you want to get anyone's back, there's a guy in Milan at the moment doing the exact same thing to them.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. I mean, that is one of the problems, isn't it? The contracts that some of these players have been on, and I think at this time, with the financial restrictions around the world, that's probably the main reason why we haven't managed to ship out a few more maybe this time. But that loan window is still open, isn't it? And the sort of English window, if you like, still open, isn't it? So we still might maybe get rid of one or two that way, possibly in the next week or so, maybe. We'll have to see, but. Let's see what happens. What about yourself, Andrew? What are your thoughts on the transfer window in general?
Delighted, and I think we might even still get the creative player in the next couple of weeks. Well, not a couple of weeks, about 10 days, isn't it? I think it's still open for. I think I've got a feeling we might go after, someone during this period, like either Buendia or. What's his name from Brentford? Yes. Yeah. I've got a feeling we might do something like that. But I also, and I don't know I know you were watching yesterday, Richard. I spoke on my show yesterday about Emile Smith Rowe, and I really want him to have a chance. I think he could be the answer, personally. But also, with regards to we've only got ourselves to blame about not getting rid of enough players, as you mentioned. But I think a lot of that's going to be sorted out in January as well, because these players can sign a pre-contract agreement with clubs in January, and I think we'll probably just do deals with them if anyone does approach. The same as what we did with Suarez, brought him in a bit earlier before his contract ended. I think we could do the same with a lot of our players and just let them go for free and cancel the contracts maybe or something like that. I mean, if we're lucky, you might get a few quid, but even if we don't, I think it could still be sorted in January. So, and that's not far down the line, so I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But regards the whole window, I'm absolutely delighted with it because the player I wanted more than anyone else, and I've been banging a drum for months. Is Thomas Partey? A big aubergine emoji all over the place. Exactly what we needed. 15 years we've been waiting for a player like that. 15 years.
Yeah.
And the same as Gabriel, it's like another Sol Campbell and Patrick Vieira. And if they have half the careers that those guys did, then we should all be delighted.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, exactly. I mean, I wanted us to wanted us to be interested in Decore from Everton, but only if we couldn't get Partey. Now we've got Partey, then that's more than made up for anybody that we haven't got, because I mean he is definitely, as I said before, the player that we've lacked for a long time in midfield. That presence in midfield as well, and I say if he can settle in quickly, then we could really, really, be in with a great opportunity this season. I think to do something really special, with the squad that we've got.
Let's not beat around the bush. He's one of the best players in his position in the world.
Yeah,
definitely.
Genuinely, he's a world-class talent, and he's already proven that he's going to do it. I mean, look at what he did against Liverpool for Atletico. There's a video doing the rounds that he just completely ran that game that day, and that's why it's so good that we've got someone that's 27. He's not like a young kid who's wet behind the ears. He's a seasoned professional, a world-class one, and people are banging on and on and on about the Liverpool signing. Oh God, what is wrong with my brain lately? Thiago. He may be, he's not technically as gifted as Thiago, but as far as transformational signings go, he's right up there with that sort of signing, in my opinion, because of what we've been lacking for so many years. So it's
that's the thing, isn't it? It's more about, for me, he's a great player by what I've seen of him, and it is because he's exactly the player that we've needed, and that's what makes it such a great signing, I think, more than anything else. I mean, you Man United have signed Cavani, who we were after a few years ago, but that's not a player that they really need.
Maybe 15 years ago,
that we really need. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it so great. And I say, if he can quickly settle in, then I'm really excited about what might happen.
Definitely. Me too. Like I said, consistency is the key this year, and if there's anything we're going to be, it's consistent under Mikel Arteta. And I feel like so comfortable. I don't worry about playing anyone now. I'm really comfortable, and I'm not worried about the starting lineups when they come out anymore either. I know he knows what he's doing, and I feel like back in the George Graham days, the way that we're set up, I think he just frustrates teams to start off with. It's like people were moaning about the first half performance, it was dull. Let's not beat around the bush, and it was a dull first half. But he frustrates teams, and then he just sort of exploits their weaknesses. Almost like picking his moment, and then bang, we score a beautiful goal, don't we? And it's very similar to the way George Graham set up. He's always started from the back, get a strong foundation, and then the rest will come. I'm really confident about the season.
I tell you, with Thomas Partey as well, he's not just defensive. That boy can play. No. On the ball, he's superb as well. So I think we haven't just got a battering ram, someone that can actually have that physical presence in the midfield, but I mean he can play as well
quickly as well, doesn't he? He's very little 1-2s, and he just plays the ball quickly, and I think that's going to really help us, especially as we said before, maybe in the home games as well, when you need to move the ball quickly sometimes to break these teams down, and I think he's going to give us that as well, isn't he? Like you said, as well as that physical presence, he's a ball winner, but he's also a good player with the ball as well, isn't he? He can pick a pass as well. I've seen him score some goals on YouTube as well from outside the box and that. So a bit like Vieira actually, because he could score a few goals, couldn't he? Vieira, when he wanted to, he could hit a ball, couldn't he? So I mean,
if you see his stats, he's top of pretty much everything in Serie A. for midfielders. And if you, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they said he's topping this. You know, he's absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited. Really good deal. Really good deal. And do you know what? The best thing about it is the really, really pissing off Simeone as well. You can imagine him going.
I read
really pissed off.
I read as well that Arsenal have loaned Torreira but removed the obligation to buy or an option to buy or something. I read that somewhere. I don't know how true that is.
Oh, yeah.
So if that's the case and he has a really good season at Atletico, then
exactly.
So it's well and truly screwed them over.
It'll put his value up as well for us, won't it? Hopefully as well, which would be good. So that could work out well. Yeah, but no, he would be fuming, Simone. Yeah, I must admit.
Nice to have a bit of ruthlessness about us again. You know,
absolutely.
We're not going to get pushed around.
Did you guys see the interview with Edu that was on the Arsenal website? What a great interview that was. If you've not seen it, definitely watch it because it's really good actually, and it gives you a little bit of an insight into what's been going on kind of behind the scenes a little bit. And he talks about the Partey deal as well and how he targeted him right from the very start about 6 months ago. He basically said this is a player that he wanted to get. And in the end, we managed to sneak it over the line, which was great. And I think the owners need some credit as well, don't they? Because they dipped into their pockets to get that deal done because we wouldn't have got it otherwise. You know, we didn't have 45 million quid knocking around, did we? So, you know, they've took a lot of stick, rightly so, for certain things, yes. But at this time, they've come through, haven't they? They've backed Arteta, they've backed Edu, and they've given us the players that we've needed. You know, and I don't necessarily think it's their fault that the our deal didn't happen either. I think that's maybe a separate issue. I think that deal will still happen at some point, just not quite yet.
No, I think I've gone right off our when I sort of heard sort of what's happening behind the scenes, if I'm honest, because it was he's similar to Anelka. He's got his brother as his agent, and he was demanding. I've heard different figures. Initially, I heard 30 million as an agent's fee, and the other ones I've heard go down to about 12 million. But either way, his brother was demanding that sort of a minimum of 12 million quid for him to sign. But also, the day before he was due to sign, he had a phone call apparently from Zinedine Zidane saying, we really like you, we can't buy you this summer, but we are looking at the end of the season, so keep your options open. And that is when he changed his mind and said that he's going to be stopping at where he is. So so what Arteta said, if you have to try and persuade someone to come, then we don't want them.
No.
And with his brother's situation as well, I'm just thinking he sounds a bit like a nightmare, if I'm honest. So I've gone off the idea of getting him in the first place. So, I'd rather pursue other options, if I'm honest.
I mean, there's a comment here from obviously the COVID-infested Arsenal misfit, which is a great name actually, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
If someone wants Xhaka for decent money in January, do we sell him now? We have Partey or keep him. I personally would keep Xhaka. Certainly in the squad, I do think he's an important player. If anybody, maybe sell El Neni out of the midfielders that we've got. If we want to get rid of one, I personally would keep them all because I think it's options to have, isn't it? Some games Xhaka's going to be really good for. Other games El Neni might be better in, and I would keep everybody really. But I mean, I personally like Xhaka. I don't know what you guys think. Would you get rid of Xhaka?
I wouldn't. No, I would keep him because we haven't got that many options in central midfield. It's not like we are in centre back that we've got 8 centre backs. You know, we haven't got that option in midfield. Plus, come the end of the season, you've got Ceballos, which is obviously a loan deal. We don't know what's going to happen there. So we're certainly not going to sell Xhaka in January. So I guess you would wait to see what would happen with Ceballos. But personally, I think I do think Granit Xhaka brings something to the team. I think we miss him when he's not there. Bit of a unpopular opinion, but I wouldn't sell him. No.
I like Xhaka. I do think he brings something when he plays, definitely, and I think he's an important player. I think he's a bit of a leader on a pitch as well with the other one. I think that's important. So I definitely would sell him. What about you, Brian? Would you sell Xhaka or keep him?
If you'd asked me this before Arteta coming on, I would have said sell, because literally the stuff that was going off at the time we didn't need at the cover at the time. But since Arteta's coming, to be fair, he has buckled down and he has improved and he has showed the qualities that our current manager and the previous 2 coaches and managers have banged on about how good he is in that sense. So that we can't really. If he hadn't, then I'll be like still saying sell. But he has improved. It'd be stupid to then let him go and weaken ourselves in the halfway through the season, which could be
something as well.
Huge.
You've got to have you've got to have a proper mentality to come back from what he's come back from as well. To win not all of the fan base back, but the people that
definitely
kind of a lot of the fan base has been won over by how he's reacted from that. That's not a lot of players would do that. They'd jump ship at the first opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar. Remember back in the late 2000s, Emmanuel Boué got booed off came on against Wigan, got booed off. Yeah. But he came back. Obviously, things didn't work out in the end, but there's that attitude. It has happened before, but.
Was that the same game he came on as a sub and then got subbed off? Was that the same? Yeah, it was the same game. Wasn't it? Yeah.
He did have a nightmare, didn't he? He couldn't even tackle the ball, could he, that game? He was tackling his own players and falling over the ball and everything, wasn't he? He had a nightmare.
Trying to assist the opposition as well.
He was all over the place that day. I don't know what was wrong with him.
At least he doesn't wrestle his own teammates to the floor in the penalty box.
That's true.
That's brilliant, that was.
Yeah, what a legend. What about yourself, Andrew? Would you keep Jack or...
Yeah. I'll keep him until next summer at least, because at the moment he's and El Nino as well. I'd keep him until next summer at least, because he's a really good squad player, absolutely ideal. Because he never moans if he's not in the starting lineup. He's very happy.
We don't know, do we? He might do.
Well, no, he never did before. You know, he was never a real starter week in, week out, was he ever?
No.
And he's been with us for several years now, so I think he's ideal for a squad player. So
he's done a good job this season as well, yeah.
He's won, Xhaka, I'm happy to say, he's completely won me over with his performances on the pitch.
Yeah.
And his attitude is spot on. And he hasn't, I mean, can you remember the last time he actually made a real terrible mistake like he used to all the time?
No.
You know, he's cut that out of this game.
I think a lot of that's to do with there's more stability around him now in midfield, isn't there?
Absolutely.
He was exposed a lot, wasn't he, under Unai Emery in particular? And I think he made a lot of mistakes. His mistakes were highlighted because he was literally like on his own a lot of the time, wasn't he? Guendouzi was all over the place, not helping him, and he was quite often left exposed. And I think that's why he looked maybe to make more mistakes than perhaps he might have done. Now there's more stability in midfield, even more so going to happen now with Partey in there. So I think Jack is an important player, certainly at this moment in time for this season. Like you said, we'll see what happens next year. But I mean, I wouldn't necessarily look to say he wouldn't be one of the first players I'd look to think to get rid of. Definitely not.
No, he's the last of our worries, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think some fans still haven't quite forgiven him for that, big carry on last season. But like you guys have said, his performances and his attitude have really been quality really since then. Since Arteta's come in, he's nailed knuckle down, isn't he? His performances have been great, and I'll say his attitude as well, like he said, has been brilliant. So no, I definitely don't think we should sell him. If we move on, obviously, the next thing I want to talk about really was there has been, we've kind of touched on it briefly, some very, very strange results so far in the Premier League, hasn't there? The 4 weeks in, we've seen some crazy football, some mad scorelines. And obviously, I think the Liverpool one last weekend probably topped it all. I mean, no one would have ever foreseen that happening, would they? A virtually full-strength Liverpool team losing 7-2 to Aston Villa. I mean, and on the same day that Tottenham won 6-1 at Man United as well. I mean,
Tottenham had their thunder stolen. That was so funny. That's the best part about the whole weekend.
And I mean, it's not just those two results, is it? I mean, every single week of the 4 weekends of the Premier League, there's been 2 or 3 strange, crazy results, hasn't there? So unpredictable. And yet, here we are with our performances that, we've been steady and solid, haven't we? Which is more than anything else. I mean, first of all, what do you think the reasons behind some of these strange results? And also as well, can you see it settling down again and becoming a little bit more predictable like it usually is in terms of results? More, the big teams beating the smaller teams more regularly, which hasn't been happening so much. Or is this going to be just one of them seasons, do you think, maybe where this carries on and we have just a weird season all the way through? Or is it to do with maybe the COVID situation? What do you think, Paul? What do you think how do you think it's going to work out now? Because obviously it's been strange, isn't it?
It has, but I mean, it's been a funny year, isn't it? All round, I think there's quite a lot of factors that you can take into account. Andrew mentioned the lack of pre-season for everybody, kind of throws people into the league at different stages of fitness, different stages of readiness. So I I have no idea, if I'm being honest. I mean, you've got some of the smaller teams as well. You look at people like Villa. What did they spend? 85 million or something stupid? Yeah. You know, all these teams that are coming up, and they're able to spend money. I mean, a lot of these sides, until we got Partey, it outspent us, a lot of them. So I think there's quite a few factors to take into account. I think it probably will settle down. I mean, the Liverpool one is that's the strangest one for me. I mean, obviously United had a man sent off, and I mean they're pretty shocking defensively anyway. But that Liverpool game was just unlike anything I've seen. People that do accumulators every week are well and truly screwed, because you're not winning any money based on these results, are you? You know, you can't call them. So yeah. I'd like to think it will settle down, but and that's another factor, and the reason why I'm quite happy with our performances so far and the results that we've got. Because when you look at a lot of the teams, we're the only ones, or one of the very few, that have shown any kind of consistency so far this season. So personally, I'd quite like to see it continue. It's quite funny seeing results like that. It's nice. It makes it entertaining. That's what we all want, as long as it doesn't happen against us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? So far, it hasn't. But you would have predicted, like you said, who would have predicted that Liverpool score? I mean, unbelievable that.
You just wouldn't, would you?
It makes us look, maybe beating Sheffield United and stuff like that. Maybe that makes that look a little bit better, doesn't it? Because they're the sort of games that this season they could have won that, couldn't they? They could have easily beaten us, and we didn't. So, what about yourself, Ryan? Where do you think it's going to go? Do you think we're going to see some more of these kind of mad results, or do you think that might be it now?
Well, I think it's going to continue, because we haven't had a full pre-season. We're now literally in an international break where most of our players are still playing. They're going to come back, and the teams that are playing in Europe, they've got to play 6 group games amongst all their Premier League games. So they're going to be shattered. The only ones that are really going to get some sort of respite, somewhat, is the lower league, and even the lower league teams outside of Europe, and even then, there's some weird results going there. I mean, I think it'll continue for a bit longer. I think at least until January this will continue. Then as things like fitness and all that sort of gets back into place, then we're going to start seeing things go back to normal that way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What about yourself, Andrew? What do you think? Do you think we're gonna? Is this it now for all them silly results, or do you reckon we'll get a few more?
No, I think we'll get a few more. I think the season's going to be a weird one, because, like I said, if the players are already showing signs of being knackered, if I'm honest, in certain teams, and it depends how long that Man United are going to be so stupid as to keep that school teacher in charge of their team as well, and Chelsea.
Longer the better.
Yeah,
definitely.
Tottenham, we all know that they're going to get carried away. They're going to keep going on and on and on about, we're back, North London is white, blah 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 blah, whilst they're rummaging around in their bins. And then we all know that someday soon that's going to explode as well, because they've got Jose Mourinho in the dugout. So that's why a massive part of why I'm so confident. Because we've got one of the best managers around. I wouldn't swap him for anyone, not anyone in the world, not in a million years.
I wouldn't at the moment.
So that's why I think we're not going to get hammered by anyone this season. I think we are going to be consistent, and that's going to be in our favour. But as far as the league goes, it's a bit of both, because I think come the end of the season, the cream will always rise to the top, and its top 6 is going to be there or thereabouts. But it's going to be nothing like the last couple of seasons, where it's going to be 90 plus points. It's going to be a lot more even. Yeah. And I made that bold prediction last season, if you remember. I said next season we're going to be within 12 points of the eventual winners of the league, and I'm definitely standing by that, because I can see that happening. And you never know, it might even be us that wins it.
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, do you think that the traditional sort of top 4, top 5, top 6 clubs, do you think there could be a few surprises in there this season? Obviously, Everton have started well, haven't they?
Maybe one or two, but you can't see more than that, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be the richest clubs will be nearest the top. But I think there will be one or two, and I won't be surprised if it's Everton. I really wouldn't.
Same.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the top 4, I think you're right. I don't think anybody's going to run away with anything this season anywhere in the league. I think it's all going to be quite compact. I would still fancy Liverpool and City to fill those top two spaces. But third and fourth, really, I mean, you look at Chelsea. I mean, they've spent 200 million. You look at that squad, and their expectation is going to be to get that third spot. So Lampard's going to be under an awful lot of pressure to deliver that. They haven't started consistently well. Sorry. So whether or not that's just players bedding in, they've got quite a lot of new players that have come into the side. So, but that third and fourth, I mean, that's open to quite a few teams. I think, as you said, Rich, I think Everton have started really well. It looks a really good squad on paper.
It does, yeah.
They've got a manager there that he's won everywhere he's gone. He's won stuff. So, but now that we've got Partey, I'm a lot more confident of us getting into that top four, whether that be third or fourth. I'm not really that bothered, but I think we've got a real chance now of nicking one of those two spots.
Yeah, I mean, Man City as well. If you look at Man City, they certainly don't look anywhere near as strong as they have done the last few years, do they? Now, so you're saying they'll probably be top two, but I'm not even sure if they will. I don't even sure if they will this season. I mean, obviously the COVID infested Arsenal misfit again said Everton are dark horses. I definitely think they are. I definitely think they are dark horses. For the top four, maybe even more, because their squad looks quality, doesn't it? I don't know what the depth's like. Maybe if they get one or two injuries, that might be when they struggle, perhaps. But as you said, Paul, there they've got a great manager who knows what it takes to win. He's won the Premier League as well. Let's not forget previously.
I don't think they'll get top four purely because their defence, the central defenders, ain't good enough, and their goalkeeper is a complete joke. So that's going to stop them getting in the top four. Unfortunately,
did they not just buy a new goalkeeper in the window?
But he's rubbish as well. He's nowhere. No, seriously, there's a guy. Who was it? Andy Brassel. The sort of pundit Andy Brassel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's said on a podcast. He said he's not good. He's not a good goalkeeper. Because someone asked him the question, is he going to be challenging for number one? He said no, he ain't.
Well, he must be poor if he can't challenge Pickford, because he's one of the worst goalkeepers in the Premier League, isn't he? So he must be bad if he doesn't think he'll challenge him for a place.
Without a good goalkeeper and without good quality central defenders, you ain't going to win the league. So I'll definitely put money on them finishing top six, though. But I'm going to. I've got a slight reservation. I would like to see after about 10, 12 games how James Rodriguez is still playing then.
When he gets cold.
Because he started. No, how many times do you get a new signing that lights up the Premier League from day one, and then all of a sudden they just fade? They just go right down.
Shavin is an example of that, isn't it? Shavin.
Look at him. Look at Timo Pukki, and the list goes on, doesn't it? Michu, I think. So,
I think as well. Sorry, Andrew, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I'm not saying he will, but I'd like to just sort of reassess in about sort of 10, 12 games' time about how Everton are going to get on, because if he shows the consistency, then, they are going to be a danger, no doubt. No doubt at all.
I think their goals, they rely heavily on Calvert-Lewin as well. I mean, he started the season. I mean, he scored tonight already, I think. He got the goal. But I mean, is he going to carry that on throughout the season? I think for them to really challenge, they're going to need that to continue.
Definitely. And if he gets injured, or if he's out for a few weeks injured or something like that, is who they're going to get to come in and score goals for him. That is the other thing, I suppose.
But we were waiting. We were waiting for that to happen to Leicester, weren't we? All that season, we knew we should. No one got eaten. I don't think they suffered any serious injuries that season, did they? And everyone was on form, so weirder things can happen, but we just have to see. It's a bit too early yet, but they started really well and they bought really well, and I think Villa bought really well as well. They actually bought sensible players for a change, didn't they?
And they're the only two teams with 100% record as well. So far, Villa and Everton. So they've both they've made good signings. They've started the season well. So I mean, I think Villa are obviously not going to challenge the top six. I wouldn't have thought, but I definitely don't think they're going to be in relegation problems again this season, are they? They've kept Grealish as well, which is important, I think, for them. So
that's the best signing of all. I can't believe that they did. I mean, signed a new 5-year contract, didn't he? That's a great bit of business.
He could have gone anywhere, really, couldn't he? Pretty much anyone would have wanted him, I would have thought, but. it's good for Villa that they've kept him. But yeah, I think Villa will be fine this year. So, but yeah, I think there'll be. I think there might be a slightly different top six this year. You know, I do think there could be a few teams. I mean, I say Everton are obviously at this moment in time the favourites, but you know, Wolves are going to be up thereabouts again. I would have thought. You know, they've not quite made the top six yet. This could be their year. They're out of Europe. Don't forget. So last year, I think that hampered them a little bit. So there's a lot of good teams around us. It's you know, we think that we're doing well, and we are, and we've got a great squad this year. But it's harder than ever to get top six now, isn't it? With the quality of the teams that there is, and even ones that haven't been in the top six have strengthened a lot. And I don't know. I think we're going to have to this consistency that we spoke about. We're going to really need that this season, aren't we? Because it's going to be so easy to not finish in the top six, let alone the top four. But having said that, if we can show that consistency, then we'll have as much chance as anyone, won't we? Really, because
I think Wolves is a strange one. Wolves is a weird one for me. I think they've weakened their team over the summer, in my opinion. I mean, Doherty was brilliant for them, absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? And Jota, you know, that's a really weird, really odd, and they haven't replaced them sufficiently.
No, they've gone out and bought young Portuguese players again.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a really odd decision, that is, because I see them as only being a bit weaker, and obviously their performances are showing that at the moment. But that's an odd one. That, and I think Leeds are going to be dark horses for the Europa League as well. I think they're going to be they're exceptional, aren't they? And
I've been impressed with Leeds again. A bit like what you said about Everton. Really, I'd like to see Leeds after 10, 12 games and see how they are. At the moment, they're playing really well. They're exciting to watch, playing great football. So let's see how they can cope when we get some bad weather and stuff like that, and things go against them, a few injuries and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think this season's going to be quite open actually. Anyway, so I think it's going to be quite exciting. It should be exciting for us because we are hoping to do a lot better than the last few seasons anyway, I would say.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I must admit, when football returned after the lockdown, Project Restart and that, I thought a lot of the games were quite dull, actually. Maybe having no fans and took a bit of getting used to, but this season so far, I think I've enjoyed every single game pretty much. It's just been so open and unpredictable, and it's what it should be about. I think our league's got too predictable last few years, hasn't it? We know who's going to win the league or come second. Everything's pretty much been set in stone before we started. Whereas this year, it literally could be anything, couldn't it? Anybody could do anything by the look of it, and it's good to watch, isn't it? It makes it more exciting.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's the average of 3.8 goals per game so far this season.
That's crazy.
That's mad, isn't it?
Absolutely mad.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, but it's great to watch, isn't it? I think our league's been overhyped. I think again, there's a comment there that said the same. It's made it the sort of best of the big leagues to watch. I don't think it used to be. The last few years, I don't think it has been. It's been probably the biggest league in the world, isn't it, the Premier League? But this year, it really has become the best league to watch as well so far. So let's hope it continues, really, because as long as we keep winning, that's all that matters as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we touched on it before. I mean, obviously, we've got England are playing at the moment. We've had this is our second international break already. We've only played 4 games into the season. I mean, with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, obviously with the situation now with Kieran Tierney having to self-isolate because he's, with what happened with Scotland. I mean, should we really be playing international football at this moment in time? I mean, Paul, what do you think about the international kind of break and stuff?
Never a good time for an international break, is there? Might have been for us over the course of the last few seasons when we've come off a few bad results in a row. Then you kind of want an international break to kick in, but yeah, it's difficult because obviously you've got the tournament coming around next summer if all goes to plan and everything goes well. But yeah, it's frustrating having 2 so close in the start of the season. You just want to kind of get up and running, and especially it's a lot of games for the players to play as well. Take their fitness and well-being into account, because a lot of people say they paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to do it, but at the end of the day, you've only got one body. It's a physical thing as well as much as a mental thing. So, very frustrating to do it. But I guess they need to play the game. So maybe not the friendlies. I mean, obviously tonight's a friendly. That's possibly one game you could have taken out and not played. But the whole KT situation is a bit of a weird one, because I must admit, I haven't read everything that's kind of come out on it, but from what I can tell, he's had a negative test or a couple of negative tests.
3.
And I think three, is it? So I think Arsenal are trying to get him back to London. And I think I saw it on your timeline a bit earlier, Rich. About, I mean, I don't see any reason if he's back in London in the next couple of days why he can't play for that City game. You just keep an eye on him, give him regular tests, and if he's still negative,
I don't think there's anything they could do. It's ridiculous.
I mean, if he tests negative between now and a City game, every single test he has is negative, then why can he not play? He can't play because he's supposed to self-isolate because he had contact with some other Scottish player like a week and a half ago. If he continues to test negative, to me, it'd be bonkers if they don't let him play. But I think Scotland, I think that's maybe the Scottish rules at the moment because obviously he's in with Scotland, isn't he? I mean, they're shutting all their pubs at 6 o'clock, so we don't really want to listen to what they're doing.
They're all backwards up there. They don't know what they're doing.
No, exactly.
Why is it any different from the Liverpool game? Sadio Mane, he came out with a positive test a couple of days after we played him. How's that any different?
Well, I don't know. But again, see, it's the confusion with different rules for different countries, isn't it? Scotland has different rules to England. So because he's in Scotland with the Scotland team, that's probably why this has all come out. I don't know, but we'll have to see what happens. But I mean, if he's not allowed to play at Man City and he's tested negative the whole way through, then I think Arsenal should put a complaint in somewhere because that's not right, is it? Because what more can he do if he's negative? What more can he do? Do you know what I mean? I don't understand it. It'd be bonkers. Complete and utter bonkers.
I'm sure they'll get around it. I'm absolutely sure because
there's
elite sportsmen. What's it called? Some kind of special thing for elite sportsmen anyway.
Yeah, Liverpool got it when we played them in the Community Shield because they'd done their sort of pre-season thing abroad, and they had to come back. They came back 7 days beforehand, and obviously where they're coming from, they're sort of self-isolated for 10, 14 days or whatever it was, but they never did because of the, as you said, that sports athletes thing that they've got in place.
They all got tested.
Apparently, on the Haters YouTube channel, they said there was an interview with Charles Watts and a couple of other guys, Arsenal people, and they said that Arsenal are going to be sending a car to collect Kieran Tierney and bring him back back into the Arsenal bubble. So, and by the way, when I said that they're all backwards up there, that was a joke. Clearly, I don't think that but no, I've got a lot of my friends are Scottish, but no, that's hopefully going to bring him back into the bubble, and I'm absolutely sure that they've got every right to fight that. And so he can play against Man City. And regarding the international break, I don't think I haven't liked international football since Terry Venables and Glenn Hoddle were in charge of England. Since then, it's been as dull as dishwater, and I've fallen out more and more and more out of love with it all the time. And Gareth Southgate's an absolute muppet, absolute joke. He's an awful, awful coach. And he's the luckiest person in the world. He's like Bruce Springsteen, completely talentless, and just found himself in the position that he's in. Because Bruce Springsteen can't sing or play guitar, but look where he is now after all these years. Gareth Southgate has got no talent as a coach, and he's the England manager. I mean, work that one out. So, no interest in it whatsoever, and they've I don't know what it is, but they've got something against Arsenal players because this is really unusual that we've got 2 players in the squad for a start. We haven't had players in the squad for years, and it's just ridiculous. But I think the fact that they've squeezed another game into this break in all 3, when we've got so much football to play over the next, we've got a whole season, and it's 5 weeks shorter than it should be. And they've squeezed another friendly in. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. Absolutely ridiculous.
Personally, like yourself, Rich, Andrew, I can't stand international football. I've lost all interest since Ben. Obviously, you left the football, the fucking whatever body, and then everything that transcended since with Capello and all that, and Roy Hodgson. I've lost interest in international football now, and what they're putting it on now just keep everyone updated and it's something on in the background. But I have no interest in international football. I don't enjoy watching my country play.
The only thing I've got reason I've got it on is Saka, because Saka's playing.
Yeah, same.
That's the only reason why I've got any interest in this game is because he's selected for the squad first of all, and obviously in the team as well, and obviously Ainsley as well. I know Ainsley hasn't started this game, but I mean he came on, didn't he, in the last game, and he's back in the squad. So it is unusual, like you said, Andrew. Arsenal players seem to get ignored by England, or it takes a lot longer for them to get recognised than some of the English players that maybe Man United and Chelsea, Liverpool, clubs like that for some reason. And even when they do get England call-ups, it's not many Arsenal players that have come through Arsenal's youth academy ever become regulars in the England side, do they ever? Very rare. Even Tony Adams, when he was like the greatest defender in England, he wasn't a regular in the England side always, was he? He never was a regular pick. And apart from David Seaman and Kenny Sansom probably before that, they're the only two Arsenal players I can remember being regulars in the England squad every single time, really. And
look at the back four we had. Winterburn and Dixon, Bold and Adams, and they were the best back four the world's ever seen. And why wouldn't you play them all together when you're an England manager? When they all played, mental. I mean that's his biggest joke of all time. Play Gary Neville over Lee Dixon. I mean, they're mad.
Also, going to the World Cup '98? Tony Adams was our country's captain, and Glenn Hoddle, in his infinite wisdom, shipped him to captain it on the eve of the World Cup and gave it to Alan Shearer because he scores goals.
Yeah. And wins penalties, apparently. That was really cool, because he was a captain, he might win penalties. I mean,
he walked out in England at 29, Alan Shearer. That's how much he thought of England. Not like Tony Adams. As if Tony Adams would ever retire from England. And then Alan Shearer retired at 29 because he couldn't be asked anymore.
Well, because he wanted to concentrate more on his own club career, didn't he? Because that's what was more important to him. I mean, I just don't understand it. We seem to get ignored, but it's good that Saka's got a call up because he deserves it. Let's be honest. He deserves to be playing for England for his performances over the last year, doesn't he? Let's be honest with that. So it's great for him. I'm delighted for him. I hope that now this can be the start of a great England career for him, and I hope it doesn't to the detriment of his Arsenal career, because there has been players before that maybe haven't always come back from England and they seem to have ruined their career at Arsenal a little bit, and let's hope it doesn't happen with him because he's
not being cynical or anything, but we know why he's playing tonight. It's because he was umming and ahhing between England and Nigeria, and they've capped him now, so he ain't got no choice.
Yeah,
that's why he's playing tonight.
Oh, of course, it's all politics.
I think there was that peer pressure as well the other week, weren't there? Because the previous friendly, when he wasn't picked, and everyone was saying he was looking for a left-sided player.
Yeah.
Why do you need to look any further than Saka? He's been brilliant. So I don't know how much of that has been peer pressure now. He fully deserved it in that scene.
Outcry about Grealish as well, and all of a sudden he's played the last couple of games. And he said, "I can't." The way we play, we ain't got any room for Grealish because he sees him as one of the strikers. And he's never played in the striker for Villa. For God's sake, he's one of the midfield three. What is wrong with it? He's played as a number 6 or a number 8 or wide for Villa for years.
I think Southgate just has I think he has a gripe. Whatever one off at Villa when he left, he has a gripe with them even now, and obviously he's taking it out of Grealish now. But literally, for me, the fact we've already had an international, not even break, but international games before the season started, literally days when it started and all that, players are flying all over the place. I mean, for me, with everything that's going on with COVID and all that, and whatever way you lay on it, when you've got players left, right, and centre still testing positive for COVID, international football should not be going ahead at the moment because literally they're flying all over the place. So you don't know they might not have it when they leave, but when they come back from wherever they've gone to, they could catch and not know it, bring it back, and they're spreading it again. So for me, international football should be scrapped. Because obviously the government is saying that at least 6 months before we can have our fans back and ourselves back into the stadiums. Okay, 6 months of no international football then, of them flying around the world doing what they want to do.
I think it's a bit optimistic for that tournament to go ahead next year. Really, I think it would have been beneficial just to say, look, it's not ideal, but the best thing is just to can the tournament and let's hope we can get the World Cup put in place in a couple of years and focus on that. But
and the idea they had was push it back for the next.
Imagine how much more exciting it would be if they scrapped international football and they allowed every top level team to double their size of squad, And instead of internationals, you had that some kind of summer tournament, where, Club World Cup type thing. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, playing teams from all over the world. I think that'd be so much more exciting if you, say allow your squad size to virtually double to cover all the games. And,
I mean, there's a comment here, but like similar to saying the same sort of thing, really, increasing the squad sizes. Probably makes sense certainly this season, if no other time. Definitely this season, I think it would have definitely made sense. I can't understand why they're so sort of rigid with all these rules and stuff that they've had in place previously, because this is a completely different situation, isn't it? And the international football and the squad sizes and all these sort of things should have been really looked at before the start of the season and said, you know what, let's change it for this season, even if it's only for this season only, just to give everyone a bit more of a chance, because it is ridiculous playing these games now, these international games. And if we do get injuries, again, the COVID-infested Arsenal misfits said there about the injuries that we've had previously internationally. If we come back this week with 3 or 4 injuries to some of our bigger players, then we're not going to be in a good position, are we? Same with other clubs as well. It's crazy.
They've scrapped the 5 subs rule as well. Why? Why did they scrap the 5 subs rule?
Because that
don't make sense. I know what you. They're going to say, it benefits the bigger teams, but that's rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Because every team needs to keep their squad fresh. It doesn't matter what the players cost on the bench, and how the supposed quality of them. It's to keep your squad fresh.
I mean, if you think about it, though, it actually benefits the smaller clubs, because the smaller clubs have got more options. When they're playing the big teams, haven't they? They can make more changes to their side to counteract the other team. So I actually think it benefits the smaller clubs.
I know, absolute rubbish, that argument about saying benefits the bigger teams. It doesn't at all.
No. And the irony is, it was a smaller clubs that we've just mentioned there. They're the ones that voted it down. And as you said, tactically, as you said, there's an extra edge to it. We saw in the return of the Premier League back into last season.
Yeah,
they could after them 3 subs normally that'll be it. But no, if things that go with the extra couple subs, you've got that extra option of, it hasn't worked, so I can change it again.
Yeah, of course you have. And I think the smaller clubs were getting more benefits out of that, I think, and would have done as well. The bigger clubs with the bigger squads can have more expensive players on the bench, but that doesn't necessarily make any difference, does it? It's more to do with the change you can make.
Exactly. So it's all about keeping your players fresh. That's all it is. And I just don't understand it. It's
the risk of injuries and all that kind of stuff is a lot greater with the situation.
Can you imagine if Saka gets injured, or if Thomas Partey gets injured, or whatever?
Don't even talk about Thomas Partey. Anyway.
Touch wood, obviously. But
I'm just pleased that Aubameyang didn't go on international duty because of that little injury he picked up against Sheffield United. Because at least, as long as he can rest and get fit between now and the game, at least we're not going to have to risk him getting injured on international duty.
Jack Wilshere, remember when he was out for the whole season? That was after an England game.
Yeah,
he got injured on England duty.
One of them was, I know. But these things. Robin van Persie always used to get injured playing for Holland, didn't he? Every time we come back from Holland with an injury, that he cost us probably 25 games a season. And unfortunately, we seem to have come out of that on the bad side, but now with the current situation anyway, with travelling all over the world being such a danger, I suppose, why are they allowing it? It's just crazy, isn't it? Completely crazy. And we've seen the situation now with Kieran Tierney, which hopefully, as we said, we might be able to get around that. But there could be other players come back from all over the world and having to self-isolate when they get back for 14 days. And some of the smaller clubs that have got international players in Africa or somewhere else, they might come back and have to self-isolate. It's going to be more of a problem for them, isn't it, to find players to replace them and have to get through.
Those massive inflatable balls that like hamster balls that you can go in and play football on water.
Bubble football,
That's what they should all be doing in the internationals. They should all so they keep them safe. All the players.
Maybe the Premier League should be like that for the rest of the season. Don't bother testing them; just stick them in the bubbles.
Really good fun. That is. Have you seen the ones? Where it just covers half of you, and you say your legs are sticking out the bottom? Have you seen?
You run around and crash into people.
Playing football with those on. That's hilarious. That's really funny.
Yeah, I've seen the video. Yeah, they just run into each other. And
absolutely brutal. That is.
Maybe that's the future. Maybe that'll be the future. Maybe that's what the future's going to be. This new normal. Maybe that's what the new normal will be. Bubble football in the Premier League.
Yeah, certainly COVID. It makes a difference to being in your bubble, doesn't it? Your safe bubble.
Well, you are in your bubble.
Whole new meaning. In your
bubble. I think we'll all be living like that. Actually, I reckon by next year, by this time next year, we'll all be living in them little plastic bubbles. All of us. We won't be able to go outside otherwise. It'd be too dangerous.
I'm going to go and live in the woods. I'm going to make myself a wooden shack and go and live in the woods on my own.
Definitely, you need to find somewhere else to live if it carries on like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back on subject. Obviously now the transfer window's shut for now, isn't it? Certainly till January. With everything that we've done, I know we've all said how happy we've been with the transfer window. Has that sort of should that sort of change our expectations for the season now? Our goals and our aims for the rest of this season. Should we reassess them now? Maybe change them, bearing in mind what's happened in the window. What do you think about that, Paul? Do you think we should reassess where we could possibly take this season now?
I think the goal at the start of the season was let's get top 4. That would have been the goal from the club. That would have been the target for Arteta to kind of reach. The window hasn't changed my perception of that. I still think if we get top 4, I think that's a brilliant season for us to get back into the Champions League. But I'm a lot more confident now over the last couple of days and getting that deal over the line that we can really push on and do that. But as we've all mentioned at some point tonight, the consistency I think is absolutely going to be the key this season. And if we can continue to be consistent, beat the teams that are in and around us, we've made ourselves a lot harder to beat. So these teams that are hanging around the top 6 as well, we're going to pick more points up against them than we have done in previous years. So if we can do that, why not push for 3rd? I think like you said a bit earlier on, Rich, I think the one surprise that we could get out of that top 4 is City, because you don't know what they are. You don't know where they're at this season at all. You could see them just as likely to win the league as they are to finish outside the top 4. So
maybe as he lost his motivation for City, listening to some of his interviews, it looks like he's lost it for me. He looks like he's maybe thinking of other things and looking at his next club as opposed to trying to, as though he maybe feels as though he can't do any more with them. I don't know. That's just a feeling I've got. And if that's the case, then that could leave an extra place in the top 4 this year.
I think the only team who's going to guarantee top 4 is Liverpool.
Yeah.
City aren't, Chelsea aren't, Man United aren't. So I think I think 3.
Man United really they remind me of us 3 or 4 years back. You know, these signings that they're making, Cavani, they're panic buys. They're the kind of buys that we would do on the last couple of days of the window, just getting bodies in just to try and fill a squad.
I find that quite offensive, if I'm honest.
I think Ollie. I mean, it's a matter of time in it before he gets found out. It's not going to be too much longer, but I'm hoping it continues. But
10 year.
I think anybody that knows anything about football. yeah, absolutely. So top 4 for me is the goal. The window hasn't changed that. I'm just more confident we can do it now.
Is this true? What obviously the COVID-affected Arsenal misfits said. Is Portugal window still open? Could we still get players from Portugal?
No, we can't buy from there, but they can buy from us.
Yeah, we could sell.
It's a bit like the situation we had last year, didn't we? Because our transfer window shut a bit earlier last year, didn't it?
Yeah.
So other clubs were still training, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. We can't register players anymore, apart from this extra 10 days or so between the Championship and below.
Yeah, so is that just a loan window, or is it's not a permanent transfer window, is it?
It's permanent as well. Yeah.
Is it permanent as well? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see us doing too much. I know there's a couple of players, maybe Norwich, as you said before, Campbell, and maybe Buendia, who we could maybe look at. I don't know.
Or Ben Rama.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, what about yourself, Ryan? Have you changed your kind of expectations for the season now with the business that we've done?
Well, as you know, my expectations were always getting us back in the top 4, and my expectation was before we even signed Partey, I said we have got no excuse we could possibly get 3rd. If anything, Partey and the business we have done in other positions has sort of heightened that for me. And I think if we don't get 3rd, you've got to ask questions of the players and what went wrong, basically, in that sense. But also, I think we can add a trophy to that as well now. Be it,
I love what you put there, actually. If Spurs was all English, Southgate would field 11 Spurs players. Yeah, he probably would. He probably would. I mean, Andrew, I remember we spoke, didn't we, back before the start of the season, saying if we kept the same squad that we had, that we felt we could finish third as it was, didn't we?
Yeah, nothing's changed. All of my hope and expectation is down to Arteta, not the players on the pitch. I don't mind who he picks, and that's how confident I am in his management. So the fact that we've bought well in the summer transfer window just makes Arteta's job a bit easier, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So we've got the manager capable of top four, and the Europa League was my prediction at the beginning of the season before it all started, and nothing's changed as far as that's concerned. Because of the players we bought, it just makes, like I say, Mikel Arteta's job a bit easier.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I say I've not necessarily changed in terms of the league. I still think we can get top three. I thought that before, even like you said, it's probably slightly easier now than it might have been. I just feel as though now we've got a little bit more opportunity to really go for the Europa League and possibly other cups as well, because I think our squad now has got a little bit more depth to it. Yeah. And I think that, we've got a reasonably decent Europa League group to start with, so we should be able to get through that. And then, we can hopefully make up for last year when we kind of, the only thing Arteta's really was I think he made a few mistakes, didn't he, in the Europa League, the Olympiacos game, and maybe he can make up for that this year. But I feel as though the league probably, not a lot different. I still think we can get top three, top four. I just feel as though now we've got more of an opportunity to really push on in Europe as well and have a real good go at that, as well as finish top four. Maybe what Chelsea did the other year when it finished top four and win the Europa League. I think we've got a great chance now with the squad that we've got, if we can avoid too many injuries and what have you, and players not having to self-isolate and all that kind of carry on. But as things stand, I think we've got a great chance now, and I'm excited actually for this season now, where it can go, where it can take us really. And like you said, as a man, isn't he?
100%. Yeah, we've all said this 100 times, and apologies for saying it again, but Man City have not been the same team since Arteta left, and that's fact, the actual fact. And Pep has just looked like a different man since he left as well. Remember when we beat them in the semi-final, and he turned around and he was talking to himself on the bench. He forgot that Arteta weren't there. He's saying, "What the fuck do I do? What? Oh shit!" You're like, seriously, he was the brains behind a lot of it, and it's showing. It really is showing. And
I think his man management as well. I think his man management of the players is a lot better than Pep's. I think Pep may be slightly better, maybe tactically or the style of play, whatever. But I think Arteta dealt with the players more, didn't he? If you watch the documentary, you could kind of see that quite clearly. Obviously, they've lost that now. We've gained that, plus we've gained his tactical knowledge as well, and we've come out of that pretty well, haven't we? Let's be honest.
Well, Arteta's tactical now is from what I've seen so far. I know it's only a small sample size, but 3-0 overhead kick.
Was it?
Danny Ings.
Yeah.
Danny Ings. I said I get fantasy points for that because I've got him in my fantasy team.
But Arteta's game management is more advanced than Pep's. Pep has got one way of playing, really. He doesn't change things mid-match, does he?
No.
And quite often, whenever he gets under a really pressure situation, like in the Champions League, he fails.
I don't think Pep's never been in a position where really he's been with the best clubs, with the best teams. I mean,
with
that Barcelona team he had is arguably one of the greatest sides ever to have played European football.
100%.
And Bayern Munich were the same. He joined there at the right time, got the best out of them players as well. So, and City, obviously, he's got a blank checkbook, isn't he? So he just...
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, this is the thing, right? Sorry, I don't want to monopolise. When you get the signs of a coach, really good coach, is the improvement in the players that he's coaching. Because that's what he's there for, making the players better. Yeah. Now, how many managers can you name that actually change the players that they're coaching? Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been at Man United 2 years now, and I would argue that the players are worse. than when he rather than coaching the players to be able to defend, and this goes for Pep as well. They go out and buy new players. And that's clearly not the issue, right?
That's what Jose always does,
Arteta has shown that he can get David Luiz, Mustafi, and all of our defenders to actually work as a defensive unit. But if they were showing frailties at Man City, they won't go and coach them. They'll just go and buy someone.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, right? And Frank Lampard is the same, right? When he went into Derby, because this is his third full year of management, every single team that he's managed have been horrendous defensively. And so he's got 3 seasons, or just entering his 3rd season as a manager now, and he's shown no sign that he's able to coach the players to be better players. So what Arteta's done within the space of 6 months worth of management now gives you every confidence that he's actually a great coach, because the players have improved tenfold since he's been with the club already. So that is why we're going to do well, because of him.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree, and that's the thing. What Arteta is, he's and I think he maybe did the same at Man City as well. Perhaps he was the one who worked with the players, and you can see the improvements he made. We said it before. Our team looked completely different from November to what it did in, say, April and May, or June and July, the end of the season, right? And we're the same players, but we just looked a completely different team. And we didn't go out and buy a load of players to do that. It was the same players. No. He's just changed them, and he improved them, and he worked with them all, and and that's great, isn't it? I mean, that's why we're lucky to have him, and he's going to unfortunately make him one of the most sought after coaches in European football very, very quickly.
And the only other coach we're going to worry about is Klopp. Klopp does the same. Klopp has improved all those players. But they're coming to the end of their cycle now. That as a team,
they are. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And everyone knows how they play now. And I mean, we could have. That's the annoying thing, right? Because we caught them out in the second half when we played them quite often, and it was a sign to what happened for them against Villa.
Yeah, it was.
We were doing the same, but we unfortunately, Laka didn't put the chances away on the day. But it could have been a different story. So I can see quite. I don't know how long you'll stay there, Klopp, but if he stays a long time at Liverpool, I could see a real rivalry growing between Arteta and Klopp, because Klopp's already, the way he speaks about Arteta, he's very, very, very complimentary about him a lot. And he said, after the Villa game, he made. I haven't heard this at all. But I heard someone on the podcast today say that after the Villa game, he said that's what you get after you've played Arteta's team twice in a week. Yeah. Seriously, And so I can see that they could be like another Ferguson-Wenger rivalry growing if they stay. If Klopp stays there, because he's the only one that's sort of similar to Arteta in the fact that he can improve players and he knows what he's doing.
No, definitely. And I say, at the moment we've got Arteta, and we need to be grateful and enjoy every moment of it, because he's not going to. Or he might be, but I can't see him staying at Arsenal for the sort of time that Wenger did. But we'll see. I mean, he seems to love the club, which is good, and I think he's bought into this project. I don't think he would leave Arsenal regardless until he's seen it through, wherever that might be, whether it's to get us back in the Champions League, whether it's winning the Champions League, which I know he mentioned with Willian, didn't he, within 3 years. But I'd like to see us obviously win the Premier League as well. That to me, that's more important. It'd be nice to win the Champions League, but winning the Premier League again would be, that to me would be the ultimate. That
100%, 100%. And I think he would only ever leave us, in my head, only ever leave us for one other club, and that's obvious. It's Barcelona. I don't think he'd go anywhere else.
Or maybe Man City, possibly.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, if I'm honest.
I don't think he has that much protection.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he'd take another team. He's one of those guys. I don't think he'd take another team in the Premier League after being our manager. I think he's. I'm not sure. I think he's a real Arsenal guy at heart.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When his whole plan when he left Barcelona was to one day play for Arsenal. He said that when he was young, because that's the reason he actually went to Rangers, because he thought it was a step, into the UK. And he finally worked his way to Arsenal because he said the club, the values, the way we play, is the only team that's comparable with Barcelona, and obviously we were at the time. And that's why he's always loved Arsenal. And
Arsene Wenger, he's done it again, hasn't he?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Come full cycle.
I just only wish that Arsene Wenger had coached him and nurtured him as a coach to be his successor before he left for a good amount of time, like Pep, like him working.
Yeah, but then having said that, you see,
I wish he'd worked under Wenger.
But he's worked under Wenger and he's worked under Pep, hasn't he? So he's got ideas from both of them, which I think is going to be a massive advantage to his career.
Yeah.
We're getting benefits of that now, but I think going forward for him as well, I think his coaching career is going to be massive.
And he did say on Soccer, he did an interview on Soccer AM on Saturday, and he did say, because there's also about his own management style. He said, I've took a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from there.
Saka nearly scored.
I saw.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? How great would that be for the lad?
So he acknowledges he's learned from certain managers. He takes a little bit of knowledge from that person. He puts it into his own philosophy.
Even David Moyes. Moyes.
Yeah, he's mentioned David Moyes before, hasn't he? Actually,
Big highly of him.
He played under him for a long time, didn't he? At Everton as well. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's good. It's all good. Just right, if we sort of move on, the final thing I want to go over is just a few. There's been a few little news stories coming out of Arsenal this week. Really, a few little silly things as well. I mean, like for example, the Mesut Ozil thing and Gunnersaurus. They're best mates now, apparently.
The best things that anyone can have.
To offer to pay his wages. I mean, is that a publicity stunt, or do you think it's genuine? What do you think about that, Paul? Do you think he's actually genuinely wants to do that?
I think it's a weird one, isn't it? Because you look at Ozil and you can see. I mean, everybody knows how much he does for charity and the things he puts in from that perspective. But there's no way he's made that public without taking a dig. There's other ways that he could have gone around that if there was. Yeah, I mean, I think the sentiment is genuine, but just the way he's gone about it, I think there's a kind of a double-edged sword there in it. I think he's tried. He wanted to do the right thing, but at the same time, he's seen an opportunity to take a dig at the club. I mean, everybody. I mean, they've not covered themselves in any glory anyway, Arsenal, have they, by doing it? And he's kind of taking the opportunity to make it look worse than possibly it maybe is. But I don't think Arsenal have really commented on it. Because I mean, he'll come back when the fans come back. The mascot will be back. You can't not have a mascot. So it's certainly not a permanent thing. But yeah, I think I don't think the club would have been happy the way he went around that.
No, possibly not. What do you think, Ryan? Did you like that little gesture he made, or did you think it was all a bit of a dig?
I'm like Paul. I think it's a bit of both. I think he's genuine in the offer of it, but at the same time, he's used it as a good opportunity with whatever's going on behind closed doors that hasn't been made public so far. Touch wood. Yeah. He's using it to batter the club over the head, basically, and make them look even worse than what they did in the first place. Because that's the one thing about obviously transfer deadline day. Yeah, we got Partey, but they made redundant a guy that's been working for the club 27 years who's only earning £18,000 a week, and then hours later signed a guy and put him on over 200k a week. So that's made him bad itself. So for him the next day to then do, and if you read how he words it as well in the message as well, and then the follow-up tweet to it, there are little digs there at the club. And I think personally, I don't know if we're going to go into it, but I think that's a nail in the coffin for what we found out today of being excluded from the Europa League team.
Yeah, he would have known that at that point anyway, wouldn't he? He wouldn't have just found out today that he wasn't going to make the squad. He'd have found out a little while back. So
I think that was obviously going to be the case anyway. If he's not played, has he, at all since March? I mean, what do you think, Andrew, about all the Gunnersaurus carry on? You happy about that?
Yeah, quite a few points really. I think the fact that it came out on transfer deadline day was down to journos. They were leaking the story, so Arsenal had to come out and do it. They were forced to do it on that day because people were saying, "What a stupid thing to do it on transfer deadline day." It was done on purpose to make us look bad. Done on purpose. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this: the guy who plays him, it's Jimmy, isn't it? Jimmy.
Jerry.
Jerry.
Quay,
Beg your
yeah.
pardon.
Jerry Key.
He was close to retirement age anyway, but he's on 40 grand.
But he'd be about 10,000 years old, won't he? So
yeah, 40 to 45 grand a year pro rata is what he earns. Now, Mesut Ozil's only got his contract finishes in June, so he's got 6, 7, about 8, 9 months left of salary to pay because he said he'll cover his salary whilst he's still with the club.
Yeah.
So that would, it's going to cost him virtually peanuts. Mesut Ozil. And now, fair enough, it's a nice gesture. He doesn't love charity, but I like to talk about it, mate. But he's smashy and nicey. But he's it's just the biggest poke in the eye you can give to your employer. It's embarrassing Arsenal as a club. It's just a ridiculous thing to do. If he wanted to do that, he didn't have to go out and put it out on Twitter or on Instagram and everything, did he? He could have just done it behind the scenes. If he wants to be a nice man, just do it behind the scenes then. Fair enough. But to do what he did is just a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. It's a complete embarrassment to the club. And why it's an issue? It wouldn't have been an issue if the club weren't forced to have done it on that day. Because at the end of it, why do we need a dinosaur walking around on the pitch when there's no fans in the stadium? It's just ridiculous. Complete waste of money. So I just think the whole thing has been set up to make our club look like idiots. And I'm not happy about it because I don't like our club looking like idiots. And we're always the ones that are dragged through the mud about everything. No other club gets the same publicity as we do about trying to save money. And the transfer deadline day, Thomas Partey couldn't be mentioned on any media outlet without us having made 55 redundancies. I don't know whether you noticed that, but it was everywhere. Now, are we the only club? Are we the only club across Europe that's made redundancies during this whole COVID period?
Well, if you believe the media, yeah, apparently.
Exactly.
The thing is, as well, we also, I don't know whether there was a story come out. This was when we made the redundancies, but we also employ. I think it was only Man United that employed more staff than Arsenal did anyway.
Yeah.
So in terms of the amount of jobs that we've opened up and given those opportunities to people, nobody mentions that. The fact that I think it was nearly 800 staff or something, or 500 staff or something stupid.
Have a look on LinkedIn. Have a look on LinkedIn. Yeah. We're advertising for a load of new roles because we're modernising behind the scenes. We've had a structure that's been going back to probably the 1940s, which has just been growing and growing. We've actually what's happening behind the scenes is actually quite exciting if you actually read into it and bother to read into it. Like no journalist would ever would. No. We're actually streamlining, and we've got two sides to the business. We've got obviously the Arsenal, not PLC, but Arsenal the company, and we've got Arsenal the playing side, the football side, and we've got two different budgets, right? So we've got a budget that for the playing staff, and we've got a budget for the business, like anyone else, like any other club would. So we're not when we actually go out and buy Thomas Partey for 45 million, it doesn't mean that it's come out the other budget, and that's the reason why we've made those redundancies. But when you've got it's like having two companies, and if you are a business owner that's got two companies, you do sometimes have to. If one side is really struggling, you would have to cut back on one side in order to sort of try and give the other side a bit of a boost. But they're not linked as such. But if we don't do well on the pitch, then we're going to make even more redundancies on the business side because we're not going to make as much money. It doesn't. It's not hard to think about. But in the media, we're always portrayed to be the shitty club that makes terrible decisions. And if you actually start to look into it yourself, you'll realise the truth. Yeah. And it does. It really does my head in. Really does my head in.
I don't know if Gunnersaurus was on furlough, was it? I don't think we didn't use a furlough, did we? I don't think for any of our staff.
We didn't furlough anyone. No one mentions that. We kept all our staff on. All our match day staff were kept on until the end of June.
And it sounds put on here about obviously Liverpool weren't they? They announced they were putting all their staff on furlough, and they got so much bad publicity, they changed their mind. I think Tottenham did as well, didn't they? Didn't Tottenham put some of their or they were going to? I don't know if they did or they didn't.
And Tottenham, they actually spent an awful lot of money, right, on the in the transfer window. But they actually borrowed £175 million off the government. And have they been mentioned about spending that money on I think they spent 85 million, did they, or something like that?
Yeah, it's like that. Plus the 20 million loan and a lot of bail, yeah.
And they've got that from the government, and they were going to furlough all their staff.
Yeah.
No, but no one's mentioned that at all. When they signed the players they signed on transfer deadline day, did they say, "Oh, by the way, that must have come out the 175 million they borrowed from Her Majesty's Treasury"? No, they didn't.
We lent it to them, didn't we? All us lot, taxpayers.
Yeah.
Not Sam. Sam lived in Norway, so he wouldn't have contributed. So he's
they just skim over that. They just skim over the fact that they borrowed all that money and they just spent it. But we've made 55 redundancies, so we'll have to mention that. Drives me mad.
Sam sort of touched the point there about the business and the football, and it is separate, isn't it? They do keep it separate, and they have to. All football clubs are on the same, aren't they? Because in fact, there's probably 2 or 3 sides to a football club when you think about it. Because you've got the sort of merchandise and all that kind of stuff. You've actually got the business side in the offices and all that thing, and then also you've got the playing side as well. So there's lots of different sides to it, and obviously it all needs funding, doesn't it? And money's got to come from somewhere. And if we had jobs that are no longer viable because of the situation, as Sam said there, with no home games, with no fans in, with none of that happening, of course we're going to have had to make redundancies or make those jobs redundant for the time being. No doubt they will come back. I'm sure Gunnersaurus will be back in the stadium when the fans.
It won't be the same bloke, but it'll be Gunnersaurus as a dinosaur will be back, but it won't be the same guy, unfortunately.
Actually, it might be Arsene Wenger, because now he's not got a job, he's had to write a book. Yeah. So he might end up being Gunnersaurus. You never know.
What was Gunnersaurus' salary? I might apply for it.
On the money he was getting to do a couple of hours work on a Saturday.
Yeah, 18 grand a week apparently, according to the media.
Well,
how much?
18 grand a week.
No, that's Paul Merson said 80 grand a week.
18, I said.
As a joke.
I said 18, not 80.
Yeah, I know, but Paul Merson said something. Paul Merson said that, and as if Gunnersaurus is on 18 grand a week. I mean, he's on 40 to 45 grand a year pro rata because he's part time, obviously.
It's not a bad wage, though, is it? To be fair,
no, but he doesn't just he does he does a lot of
kids parties and all that.
Appearances.
I'll put it out there now. I'll take on the Gunnersaurus role for half of that wage.
I know.
I think we all would.
But just one other thing, just quickly. People now, I think, I don't know whether you agree, and this is probably going to get a lot of backlash or whatever, but people really need to lay off the Cronkies now, I think, for a while. Because
I agree.
Since they've had 100% ownership, which was the summer that Arsene Wenger left, you cannot say that our club is not moving forward at a pretty decent rate now and getting its shit together and sorting out an awful lot of problems. And they are back in the club and back in the manager with regards to signings. So I won't go into too much more detail, but I think we just leave off them for a while now.
You could say arguably their best signing was Tim Lewis back in this summer.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. He's really good appointment, and the fact that they're doing this streamlining is actually making us into a modern club. And it just shows you, as soon as Raul's gone, no players that we're linked with are anything to do with Super Agents anymore.
I think this goes with when you look at Arteta's philosophy and the clarity that he brings to the players that he brings on the pitch. There's a clarity through the club now. You haven't got 10, 15 people all with different opinions trying to bring players in. You've got Edu and you've got Arteta.
Exactly.
And then you've got obviously Vino. You're stripping it down. That process now is going to be so much quicker and so much more thorough. The whole structure is just very clear now about what people's jobs are, and that filters onto the pitch as well from Arteta. So I'm all for it.
Definitely. I just think give them a bit more time now, but I think they are showing some really good signs that are very positive as far as I'm concerned as owners. And you put yourself in the position of a Newcastle fan for just for a little while, or a West Ham fan with their owners, and things could be an awful lot worse. Let's just put it that way. Jesus Christ.
And I think they took a lot of flack for stuff that maybe wasn't always their fault as well sometimes, didn't they? Previously, and I think that was maybe a little bit now that's become more clear, I guess, than it was at the time. But I think they took a lot of stick for stuff that was out of their kind of hands, really. But like you said, since they took over completely, we've seen the differences quite quickly, haven't we? Where we've been headed.
Well, people were moaning about before they had the 100%, and it was all diluted there at the ownership. Were moaning about the lack of support that they were giving us then. But it's the analogy I would use is, say you and a mate were bought a house together because just to get on the housing market, just to share the cost, and then would you, as an individual, go and spend 25 grand to put an extension on the back out of your own pocket, which would increase the house value, if you knew that your mate was thinking about moving out as well, you wouldn't improve. What I'm saying is, you wouldn't improve the value of the house that you own out of your own pocket for your mate then to benefit from all of that extra value on the house. It's just one of those things, because you're not owning it. You're not going to make all the money back. And at the end of the day, he's a businessman, Stan Kroenke, and he wants to make money. And he's not an Arsenal fan since birth. It's obvious. He's never going to be passionate like we are. But he still wants it to succeed. So
because it makes him more money.
Exactly. So he's not stupid. He's not going to let it run into the ground, because he still wants a return on that investment. So I just think it's. I think we're in a good place at the moment. That's all I'll say. We can go on about it for a while, but I ain't going to. But I think we're quite. Oh, Ainsley make the noses on the pitch.
I think the only thing that made Kroenke look worse was the stadium that he built, the Rams, wasn't it? That was, what was that, $1 billion?
$5 billion or something. Yeah, but I mean that he didn't. I mean, that's the other thing. He didn't set out to pay that much, though, did he? I mean, it's just like it was I'm sure if he could turn back the time, he wouldn't do it. But that was a real nightmare for him. But I just think going forward, I think at least we can be comfortable that our owners are never going to let us get into sort of financial difficulty or trouble. And I think we're going to be. And now we've got Arteta as well. I think on the pitch we're going to be sorted as well. So long may it continue, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly. I just want to go to Winston there about Sevilla trying to buy Gunnersaurus. There's no way they're getting Gunnersaurus. Absolutely no chance. No chance. They couldn't afford him for a start off. He's on that 180 grand a week, isn't he? So,
well, they can have him for 350 grand a week on loan with no option to buy at the end of the season.
And then there's in there.
Exactly. You send him in there, and he'll cover his wage at the same time.
They'll never know.
And just in response to this comment here from the COVID-infested Arsenal misfit, Aubameyang's replacement, I believe we might already have him in Martinelli. That's my feeling. Over the next few years, Martinelli could develop into Aubameyang's replacement, possibly, which could save us quite a lot of money if that's the case. But
did you see the other youngsters we bought on deadline day as well? They look really
good. Yeah, we bought 7, didn't we? 7 under 23 players.
Well, the big 6'4" centre forward Swedish guy that was at Bologna for a while.
Yeah,
he was on loan at Bologna for a while in their academy, and they really likened him because of the way his playing style, skill, and stature. Said he's the new Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So 6'4", and he's 18. But apparently he's extremely skillful as well. So. That's really exciting. And the other one is a winger from Ajax that really excites me as well. If you read about him, the reviews are bloody hell, really glowing. This Ajax kid. So we've done some good business actually for the under 23s, which again is investing in the future of the club, isn't it? And at the end of the day, if some of these come through and save us a lot of money in the future for
having to replace players like Aubameyang and some of these others that are getting a bit older in age, then that's great business again, isn't it? And the club showing great vision, looking for a long-term plan, which is what's always been the case, as opposed to, other clubs not so far away in London who have only ever had a short-term plan for short-term success and just doing that constantly. Whereas we've got a plan now for the next probably 10 years already in place. And
we got in there before the end of Brexit, before the Brexit rules come in, and we won't be able to do this no more. So the fact that we've gone in and nicked them now is a really good sign. Shows a lot of good business now, business sense.
To me, it just shows that we're looking to the future, and we're not looking for the instant success that I say other clubs constantly chase. We could maybe have tried to do that, but we haven't, have we? We've looked at it and we thought, right, we're going to build something that's going to last, that's going to be sustainable over a long period of time. And this is the start of that process now. And we've already had success, haven't we? Winning the FA Cup and the Community Shield and whatever. Yeah. So, if this is the start, imagine where we'll be at the finish of it. I mean, it's exciting.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah, it's very exciting, really exciting. What we could have coming up.
Yeah, so what Sam said there, so we did mention that before about the Edu interview, and he mentioned about the owners. Really, really exciting interview that actually, I say, if you've not seen it, watch the Edu interview.
Yeah, I haven't yet. So
you need to watch it. It is a good interview actually. I mean, Edu. I mean, I can't. I mean, I love Arteta, but Edu's up there. He's not far behind. I've got to be honest. He gets the club, doesn't he? He gets what it's about. He understands Arsenal as well, and I think that's so important. Obviously, Arteta does as well, and it's just brilliant, really, to have two people like that in charge of the football side of things, and we can see what a difference it's made. And hopefully now, with the transfer window that we've just had, it will continue to, we'll continue to see the benefits of that as well. Yeah. He forgot about Martinelli. Yeah, it's easy to forget him because he's not been playing, has he?
He'll be like a new signing.
He will,
yeah. Back into the team. I'm so excited about him coming back into the team. I really am. But yeah, I agree with you though, completely, 100% that he is the long-term replacement for Aubameyang. 100%.
I think he looks like
I'd still like to know who injured him in training in the first place.
Guendouzi, or that's probably why Guendouzi's not played.
Yeah, or Guendouzi or Ozil maybe, because they've been ostracised.
Yeah. I think it'd be Ozil, was it?
I don't think it'd be Ozil. Ozil never tackles anyone, does he?
Well, or Socrates.
Maybe Socrates. Yeah, I mean, talk about that. Just quickly, obviously, the Europa League squad. Obviously, Ozil and Socrates were the two left out. Are we surprised it was them two or not really?
I was surprised about Ozil actually, just purely because I thought that might have been a route back into him working his way into the squad. I mean, when you look at the group that we got, there's an opportunity there to not have to play a lot of your first team. I think you should be getting through that group really without having to put any of the first 11 under any additional stress. I was, from that perspective, I was quite surprised. It might have been an opportunity to play him. But
that's the exact reason why I wouldn't be surprised though, because it is a very, touch wood, very lucky group that we've got drawn, and it's exactly right to plan for the future and play the youngsters rather than playing someone that is not going to be here for more than 6 more months playing, in the squad. So why would you? You want to see and give experience to the younger players, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I get that. I just get somebody back at least.
You want to plan ahead, and there's something really, really bad that happened during lockdown that we'll find out about when Mesut Ozil releases his book. That's caused this.
He's probably been writing it already.
Stop dead.
Yeah,
that's probably what he's been doing. He's probably writing his book the last 6 months when he's not been playing.
Yeah,
but that'd be interesting. I agree. Something's definitely happened, and I don't think it's football related either. Actually, no. I don't think Arteta's necessarily been opposed to having Arteta in the squad. I think that it's maybe above him for whatever reason. I don't know, because I don't necessarily feel that there's a massive fallout between them two, and I don't feel as though it's always been for tactical reasons, because there's been games where Mesut Ozil could have made a difference had he been on the bench to come on. I think there's been a few games where that's been the case. And we don't know what physical state he's in. He's been training. He looks okay. When you've seen him in training, he seems to be fit. So I don't know, but it will be interesting to know what's exactly gone on with that, because, like you said, he was playing every game under Arteta. We have a break, and then we come back, and then he doesn't play at all again. And it's like, where did that come from?
I did read somewhere that there was something to do with his contract. If you play him, I think his He gets 200 grand a week, but if you play him and with all the bonuses that comes with it, that then jumps up to the 350. But I don't know how true that is, or whether that's something that would be a possibility. That you're just trying to manage the amount of money that you're giving him, possibly. But
it probably is true about the contract situation. But Arteta wouldn't not play him because of that. No chance.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so either. But
if he thought he could win the game with him in a team, he would pick him. So there's something else. There's something else really, really serious that's happened.
I think it all stems back to that salary cap thing.
Turkish thing,
I think that in my head, right? That started it completely. The fact that he, because Arteta had to get involved in asking the players to take that reduction, and he refused, and it sort of didn't look good on Arteta, because he would have had to go back to the guys in the offices and say, look, I can't get him to change his mind. He won't take it. He won't do it. But I think something's escalated from there. I think that was a starting point, and something else has happened. It keeps going on, and I just think that I'd love to know. Absolutely love to know what's going on behind.
But then again, you see, as well, I mean, something that clearly isn't related to that. I mean, it's the situation with Guendouzi, because he got frozen out, and yes, I know his attitude maybe didn't always look to be the best, but for him to have been frozen out for that long completely in the way that he was, completely frozen out of the squad as well, and that's obviously is for not necessarily just footballing reasons, but clearly an attitude problem somewhere. But you'd imagine that somewhere along the line, Guendouzi would have had a little think about it and thought to himself, do you know what? If I want to play, I just need to grow up a little bit. And you'd have thought he would have made an effort to do that, wouldn't you?
He just had to apologise, and he refused to apologise right from the start, and he still hasn't. So that's the problem. And Arteta cannot be seen to back down under any circumstances. There is non-negotiables, as we all know, and there is standards. And if you adhere to those, and you do as you're told in training, and you work as hard as you can, then you're in the team, you're on the boat. But if you're not, then you're not on the boat. And he can't make it go backwards like Emery did and make himself look weak, can he?
No, I do think Arteta's got that ruthlessness about him, actually, which is good. It's what you need to be a football manager. You've got to have that, haven't you?
All he had to do is apologise, and he didn't. And that's what caused the whole Guendouzi thing. Absolute joke. What a kid. He's thrown his career away, that kid. Honestly, he's going to be another Balotelli, and just get his clubs he's moving to are going to get worse and worse and worse. And Balotelli, last I heard, was having a trial for a third division Italian team. And look at him. How many years ago, he was one of the best strikers in the world. And because of his attitude, he has lost his career.
I mean, if that's the case, then if Guendouzi is going to go down and down, every club's going to be worse. In about 5 years, he'll end up at Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. He will. But no, it's a shame, though, isn't it? Because I was really looking forward to him working under Arteta. He would have been a great defender if he'd actually learnt from Arteta and really bought into the project. He would be a really good player. But he's thrown it all away. It's stupid, absolutely stupid.
It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on in Germany now, isn't it? To see how he does in this loan, and whether that works out for him, whether he can knuckle down and get on with playing football and forget all the other stupid stuff that goes with him, or seems to have gone with him since he's been at Arsenal. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure the comment there must be directed at the owners, I'm assuming, which is fine. I kind of agree with that. We can't knock them for what they've done. Certainly in this transfer window in particular. Just finally, I just wanted to maybe give a little bit of credit to Eddie Nketiah for the goal scoring record that he equalled last night for the under-21s, the England under-21s. He's actually equalled the record of Alan Shearer, and also, funny enough, Francis Jeffers as well, with 13 goals for the England under-21s. Obviously, one of them had a great career and one of them not quite so great. So let's hope Eddie Nketiah can maybe follow Alan Shearer a little bit more than Francis Jeffers. But funnily enough, he reminds me a little bit of Francis Jeffers at times. I've got to be honest. I don't like to say that. He's got a little bit of that about him. I think he's a lot better player, obviously, and I think he's got a better future. But there's just certain things about him. Sometimes I look at him and think, you know what, he does remind me a little bit of that kind of a player, really. Yeah. But I mean, it's a great record. Hopefully, he can go on to the full England squad as well.
What was the score? I don't actually know what the score. I haven't heard. What? Well,
the under-21s.
Yeah.
They drew 3-3 with Andorra.
Oh, right. So he got one then, I presume.
Yeah, he came off the bench. He came off the bench, scored in the last 10 minutes to put England 3-2 up, and then they conceded a goal and drew 3-3. So But I say he's actually scored them goals. I think he scored 13 in 11 games for the under-21s. I mean, that's a phenomenal goal-scoring record. And in fact, for England, he's got 32 goals in 32 appearances throughout all the different under-18s, under-19s. Fantastic record. And hopefully he can go on and have a great England career as well. But, you know, I mean, should he be starting ahead of Lacazette? I think that's the question we need to be looking at now going forward. You know, should he be in the team maybe ahead of Lacazette? He's got a great scoring record at that level, but is he quite good enough at the Premier League level yet, do we think? What do you think, Paul? Would you put him in the team?
No, I wouldn't. I think Lacazette brings a lot more to the side than just goals. Eddie hasn't got that link-up play. He doesn't drop deep. He doesn't work as hard as Lacazette. And the one thing that puts me off a little bit with Eddie, he shows his frustration on the pitch if someone doesn't pass to him or something doesn't quite go his way.
That goal at Leicester.
His arms go up, he starts shaking, he has a pop at Peter. But no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But he's a great option to have from the bench because he closes people down, and he's got a couple of goals from closing people down, and he's earned those. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be putting him ahead of Lacazette.
No, maybe not at the moment. I mean, he's still young, don't forget. I suppose he's got age on his side, hasn't he? And that says, what about yourself, Ryan? Would you think Eddie should be maybe starting more games for us with the goal score record that he's got?
Not straight away. I don't want to stick because obviously I've seen how things panned out with Guendouzi. He sort of gave him all the games, and I know it's a different position and all that, but I don't want that sort of thing. I sort of want to ease him in, sort of use him sparingly, build his confidence up that way. Because there's no doubt there's potential there, but I don't overburn him and then have another Francis on our hands. So to speak.
As I say, that's the danger. I think at the moment it's a bit undecided what way he's going to go, isn't it? He's either going to go on to have a great career or he's not. I think he's just at that kind of crossroads at the minute. What about yourself, Andrew? What do you think? Just say goodbye to the Arsenal, the COVID-infested Arsenal midfielder who needs to go to sleep now because he's been typing too much.
Great name.
Thanks for watching. I hope you feel better soon, mate. Definitely, because that's not great, is it?
Well, I don't think when he said should he be starting ahead of Lacazette, I don't think Lacazette should start or Nketiah because I think Aubameyang needs to go down the middle and it will extend his career if he does as well because you won't have to do so much tracking back. And I don't think that the play you've got running through the middle, where I slightly disagree with Paul there for the first time this evening, I have to say, Paul.
All right.
But no, seriously, it's like I don't want the striker that's scoring the goal to be the one that's tracking back and working hard and doing all that. Yeah, close it, do some pressing, of course, on when you need to, but I don't want like Lacazette drops too deep. It's just ridiculous. I want the centre forward to score goals. So what I would sell Lacazette. I wouldn't replace him because I don't think he should be starting anyway. And I would have Nketiah on the bench in place of Lacazette. And I would have Aubameyang. And that would give more playing time to Saka and Saka and Martinelli when he comes back from injury on the left. And Pepe on the right. And behind Pepe can be Willian. So I just think it's perfect. And then whenever... if God forbid Aubameyang ever has a serious injury, got Nketiah to come in, or obviously Martinelli can move into the middle and Saka can play on the left sort of full time. And so I don't think we need Lacazette. And please don't get me wrong, I don't not like him. I like Lacazette. I like his work rate, like his attitude. He's a gooner. He works really hard, but he has never been the striker that we wanted him to be. But I think Nketiah...
Goal scoring, I think, in terms of goals, I agree.
A really, really good goal poacher, and I think he'd be absolutely... He could make a career at Arsenal as an impact sub, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was for Man United back in the day. And I think he could really... I mean, it's perfect as a backup striker because we haven't had to pay anything for him. He's Arsenal through and through, and he's a real good goal poacher, so... I'm sure he'd be happy to be in the squad every day, every game, but and come off the bench. I think he would.
Cam's a big fan as well. I think Nketiah as well. He thinks he's misunderstood, and he shows passion and desire to win, which he does. I mean, I agree with that. He definitely got that will to win. Right. I mean, that time when obviously that goal at Leicester, like we said, when he was basically we scored and he was upset with Pepe for not squaring it to him to tap in. That kind of shows the sort of ruthlessness about him, maybe which is needed, isn't it? for a striker. So, but yeah, at the moment I'm a little bit undecided about him. I've got to be honest. I like him. I'm just not quite sure if he's ready yet to take on that burden of responsibility every week of being our sort of centre forward, if you like, which is what his position would be. Sit there, the fox in the box, which is, I know that's what Francis Jeffers was called. It never quite worked out, did it? But that's kind of what Nketiah is, isn't he? He is that sort of player, isn't he? He gets in those great positions, and
he's a born goal scorer. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he's Ian Wright. He's Ian Wright reincarnated, and that's why I love his attitude. Ian Wright would have thrown his hands up in the air because he wanted to score. Yeah,
Ian Wright would have took a goal off a teammate to score, wouldn't he? He would have tackled his own teammate.
Yeah. He'd chin his grandma to get her out of the way if he got to the ball one time in the box. Yeah. So I love that about Nketiah. He's a proper goal poacher, and that's what we need. Really need. It'd be great to have him in the squad on the bench to come on with half an hour left, chasing a game.
Like he did against West Ham and get the winner in the last few minutes. Yeah. No, I can see him having that role, but is he going to be happy with that? If he wants to play for England, if he wants to push on his international career, he's probably not going to. I mean, bearing in mind he plays for Arsenal anyway, which we don't exactly get England players regularly through. If he wants to play for England, he's going to have to do more than just be an impact sub for Arsenal, isn't he? He's going to have to be starting games regularly and scoring goals. I would have thought when you look at the competition for striking places in the England squad, not
he
that
can play all the cup games as well. Don't forget.
Well, no, he can, yeah.
All the cup games, and he can come on in pretty much every single Premier League game. Because let's face it, Aubameyang's not getting any younger, is he? So next season, it'd be great to be able to rest Aubameyang for the last half hour of each game. We need to extend his career. That's why we need to move him into the middle, because he'd be doing less tracking back, less going all the way back to the left back slot and defending. If we can just keep him at the front as a goal scorer and take him off with half an hour to go from next season onwards, maybe it's ideal. Perfect.
Yeah. The one thing we have mentioned is Martinelli. If we're all saying that he's going to be the eventual replacement for Aubameyang in 3 years' time, then he jumps ahead of Nketiah for me. If you're looking to play him down the middle.
And I'll play him on the left, cutting in from the left where Aubameyang's playing now.
Yeah. I think Martinelli's better on the left, yeah.
He's a hard worker. He would run all day. He could do the tracking back that Aubameyang's doing now for us on the left-hand side. It'd be absolutely perfect. And Saka long term, I think he could be left of a midfield three as well. So,
yeah,
I think it just all works out really nicely, personally.
It's options, isn't it? It's good to have options, and I think that's what we've got now. Where we didn't necessarily have that before, so it's good.
Just says there the average of Eddie's goals are all 5 yards out, which is probably about right, actually. Or they're all certainly tap-ins, aren't they? He's got a lot of tap-ins, hasn't he? Which is
exactly what you want.
And it's not a sort of player that we've previously had, is it? That sort of a striker.
Not for
it reminds me of Jermaine Defoe a little bit. I must admit, Nketiah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Darren Bent as well. He used to kind of get a lot of them sort of goals, didn't he? It's all about movement in the box, isn't it? Making you run and getting in the right place and being there to finish them off. It looks easy, doesn't it, when you tap it in from 2 yards? But it's your movement before that's got you there. Exactly. You're really understanding of the game, and Eddie's got that. And you can see by his international goal scoring record at sort of at youth level and stuff like that. He's clearly got something about him, hasn't he? And maybe Arteta can help bring that out of him a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. I do like Eddie, but I'm just not convinced he's quite ready yet. Is he strong enough physically, and is he quite ready for the Premier League week in, week out? Probably not. At the moment, I think this sort of super sub role, if you like, could be suited to him quite well, because I think he can come off the bench and make a difference and get a goal. He's done it before. I can see him doing that.
Like I said, the comparison I would give, and I'd be hard pressed for anyone to really disagree with this. Like, say, Lacazette and Eddie played for two mid-table teams, and they kicked off the season as the centre forward of those two teams. I can virtually guarantee that Eddie would outscore Lacazette by the end of the season, 100%. Definitely, because he's more of a goal scorer. And
he is more of a goal scorer, yeah.
And that's what you need. That's what we need. Lacazette, we bought him to score loads of goals, and he's never done that.
But then said that. In France, he scored 30 odd goals a season, wasn't he? Quite regularly.
No, he never has. He's never been prolific. Have a look at his stats from when he was in France. He's never been prolific.
I think he gets a lot of unfair stick, Lacazette. I think he brings
honestly,
a lot more.
I do. I like him. Like I said, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to get people thinking I hate Lacazette. I don't at all. But he's a centre forward, and we have to be a bit more ruthless to get to the next level, to take us to the next level. And I don't think we won't get there with Lacazette, unfortunately.
Well, look at Liverpool and Firmino. Firmino is exactly the same kind of player as Lacazette, and look at what they've done the last couple of years. That's
Yeah,
For a
absolutely.
system, if it fits in the system, exactly.
Yeah.
But Lacazette is nowhere near the passer of Firmino. He hasn't got the skill or talent of Firmino. Firmino is a creator. Lacazette is not very good at passing the ball, unfortunately. He could do the odd when he turns and gets it and whizzes it out to one of the wings. Great, but when he's got to pass it around intricately around to the outside of the box in sort of the 10 position, he can't do that. He's not good enough.
Do we know what happened to Francis Jeffers, actually? He kind of drifted away from football, did he? I know. Did he go back to Everton at one point? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, because I think it was Rooney Burson was saying he came out and said, I want to play Wayne and all that. So we loaned him back, and he came back, and then I can't remember what happened to him.
I think he retired at 29.
I need to do a feature on Francis Jeffers, actually, because I don't really know exactly what happened to him after he left Arsenal. He kind of drifted around a little bit, didn't he? So I need to maybe do a bit of a feature on him one day, because he's, no one really talks about him anymore, do they, other than in a bad way. Sam says there about Van Nistelrooy. Yeah, he never scored many outside the box goals, did he?
No, what a player he was. He could run with the ball, though. He's a good dribbler. I remember him breaking from the halfway line once and running with the ball quicker than any of the defenders. He was literally increasing the gap between him and the defenders. Incredible player he was. I hated him because he scared the life out of me whenever we played Man United around that time, because I knew he was going to score.
Yeah, what he always did, didn't he? That penalty, of course, that famous penalty that he didn't score. Which,
no, that's amazing. One of the best moments ever. That was.
I mean, this is quite a good point, actually, about Laka. We brought Laka to be our main goal scorer, and then we brought Aubameyang not long afterwards, and Aubameyang's taken on that role of the goal. So Lacazette doesn't need to score 30 goals a season, does he? Because Aubameyang is. And if Lacazette's chipping in with his fair share, I suppose, his role's may be different to what it was when we first bought him as the out-and-out goal scorer. And now he's not got to be, has he? Because we've got someone else to score all the goals, and he just needs to fill in, doesn't he? And
but he's taking the place of Saka, though, isn't he? He's taking the place of one of our really great creative youngsters, in the team, and that's the problem. Because by playing him, Aubameyang has to play wide left, which means that we can't play Saka or Martinelli wide left, and that's the problem. I'd rather have that.
Aubameyang is very effective on the left, though, isn't he, with the goals he scores? I mean, is Saka going to score as many goals, or even Martinelli score that many goals from that position in the team?
I don't think Martinelli would. Yeah.
Martinelli might, but Martinelli got a lot of his goals playing through the middle, didn't he?
Yeah.
Early on, when he first came into the team in the League Cup and whatever last season, he was playing as a centre forward. He got a lot of his goals there, and then he got a couple when he replaced Aubameyang when he was suspended from the left hand side. That goal at Chelsea, he was playing.
But don't you agree though? We can't depend on Aubameyang to play on the left for much longer after this season, because he's going to be 32 next season.
I think he's really fit. I think he's.
I know he's obviously, but he can't do that for the latter part of his career into his 30s. We can't be asking him to track back. Quite often you see him in the left back slot, don't you?
Yeah,
tackling,
you do,
and he can't. If we want to have him, everyone's been moaning about the length of contract we've given him, but we need to make sure we maximise that player and don't run him into the ground.
This is a good point, actually, that Winston's made there. Laka might have to drop so deep now we're sorting the midfield out. That's a good point, actually.
It is Winston, and I've mentioned that before, because the thing is with Lacazette, he works his nuts off, and he works really hard in that area, dropping deep. But he's not a specialist in that role, and we could do better there. That's the a fact.
Sam's got a few stats here for you, Andrew, that you might not realise. Laka scored 28 in 30 games the season before he came to Arsenal, 21 in 34 the season before, 27 in 33. So actually, his goal scoring record was pretty good. Yeah, it's France. It's not as high a level, I suppose, but good numbers. To be fair, they're good numbers.
I bet you I was looking at the league goals then. I bet that's like in all competitions. But yeah, absolutely take it back, Sam.
I mean, I knew he'd scored a few goals before. I knew he'd when we signed him. I remember thinking he's going to be able to get 25, 30 goals for us a season. Was my feeling at the time. And then maybe the fact that, as it was mentioned before, we bought Aubameyang, who took on that role straight away, didn't he? Of getting all the goals, he's got goals straight away, and then maybe Lacazette was then played in a different role, and that's maybe why his numbers have maybe gone down as well. We maybe need to look at it like from that side. But we'll see how it develops now. I do think that midfield point was quite a good point actually, because now we might not need to drop so deep because we're going to have a bit more quality in midfield, and Partey makes them runs, doesn't he, as well? So maybe Lacazette can get more in the box, and maybe he can score a few more goals this season.
Hopefully.
I mean, he's got 3 already. To be fair, he's our top scorer. Aubameyang's only got 1 in the Premier League, and he's got 3. So maybe Aubameyang needs to back his ideas up since his contract.
Yeah, I know. God, can you imagine? But yeah, no. If those, I'll completely take it back, Sam, about my comments about his goal scoring. If that's the case, but I'd be interested to know whether that is his overall goals or whether that's just league goals, because I'm getting confused with league goals. But like I said, I just want to reiterate, I do like Lacazette a lot, but I think longer term we really need to get a place in the team for Saka, and especially Martinelli when he comes back. And I think that I've mentioned it before, like Winston said, we won't need to have someone in that Firmino role. Now we've got Partey, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get another player in the creative midfield role as well at some point. So, it's a difficult one, but I think being ruthless and to take us to the next level, I'll take the money for Lacazette and put it elsewhere into the team, longer term, and so we can properly play Saka and get the development there, and Martinelli as well. Because they're good enough. They're just because they're young doesn't mean they're absolutely good enough to start, both of them. And it's going to be a problem enough as it is to get them both in the team. And Lacazette, unfortunately, longer term, he'll outgrow. We won't need him anymore. Anyway, there you go.
You said it was just a league goal by the look of it. So. That's a pretty impressive record, actually.
No, it is. I absolutely take it back. I'm always happy to say I'm wrong.
That's an impressive record, actually. So, I mean, I knew he'd scored goals, but I didn't know his exact numbers, actually, without researching it. But I knew he'd scored a few goals. Because I was expecting to score a few at the beginning, didn't he? And then he got injured and whatnot. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think his role might change now, and I think maybe our style of playing, our formation might change now with Partey in the team. It'd be interesting to see, actually, because I mean, are we still going to play the sort of 3-4-3 system now with Partey? And if so, where would he fit in? Where would we play him in that role? You know what I mean? Or are we going to go with the more sort of 4-3-3 and have the 3 central midfielders with maybe Partey, Xhaka, and Ceballos together as a 3? Maybe are we going to look to do that now? I don't know. We'll have to see, won't we? Once Partey's in the team and what he's doing. A few more stats there. We've got. From the DWTT, 100 League One goals in 203.
All right. I'll take the point. I take it all back.
You've been roasted there.
I'm joking. No, I was wrong. I got completely confused. I must be confusing his figure with someone else.
Premier League goals in 100 matches, so his goal scoring ratio isn't actually that much worse for us, is it? When you look at it, it's not far off 1 in 2, is it? I guess.
He just got he just got his 50th not too long ago, didn't
he? Yeah, his 50th goal in total, wasn't it? I don't think it was his 50th league goal, his 50th in total, yeah. So I mean it's not a bad goal scoring record. It's just not maybe what we was expecting. I think we were all expecting him to maybe score the sort of numbers Aubameyang's been scoring, but of course Aubameyang wasn't with us then, was he?
Unfortunately, it's going back to the days when we were under the previous regime where we made some really poor decisions in the transfer market, because why would we have done that? Bought Aubameyang 6 months later. Sorry, Lacazette. Then 6 months later, bought Aubameyang. It's just we were crying out for defenders and midfielders again at the time, weren't we? So
the Aubameyang one hasn't worked out too badly, has it?
No, exactly. But we should have bought Aubameyang 6 months earlier, shouldn't we? Really, in hindsight. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I agree.
Next summer, we're going to be. It's going to be so exciting. Next summer, can you imagine? We're going to be saving nearly. Best part of £1 million a week with the end of contracts, players coming to the end of their contract. And it's just going to be such a relief. We'll be able to get rid of that regime once and for all, and all the mistakes they made, and and move forward at last.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if in the meantime, so we've won the FA Cup, and if in the meantime we can have a successful season here as well this season, then imagine, like I said before, imagine where this can actually take us eventually. I mean, sometimes you think about it, and I've sort of thought about it in the last few weeks, really, certainly since the sort of transfer window's been open. It's like, we now are on the path of, I won't say necessarily we can eclipse what Wenger did, but we can certainly get close to that, I think, with we've got in place at the moment, and I know, a lot of things can change and stuff like that, but maybe it's the right time as well. I think we couldn't have competed with Man City and Liverpool over the last 3 or 4 years anyway. I don't think we could have done. They're coming to an end of their cycle anyway. I think both of them are. And we're coming up at the right time, I think, along with maybe Everton and a few other teams as well. But I think now's an opportunity for somebody to go forward and, go on and have some big success. And I don't see why it can't be us. We've got everything in place. And it might take a year or 2 years, but we're definitely well on the way to doing that now, I think. And it's exciting times. And it's probably how Liverpool felt maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
I'm absolutely gutted I didn't put a bet on before the season started, because we were 200 to 1 to win the league. And I bet you we're less than 10 now, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to.
We'll be 50, I would have thought, won't we, to win the league?
I'm going to put a double on. I'm going to put a bet on for us to win the league and the Europa League. I just wonder how much, what the odds on that. Because last time I actually tweeted Paddy Power for the odds, and they didn't have the odds. They said we had to wait until Tottenham got knocked out of the qualifying, but unfortunately it didn't, did they? But everyone's through the qualifying rounds now, aren't they? Hilariously, so should be able to get odds on it now. I'm just curious.
Well, it'd be big odds on that, I would imagine. I mean, if we was to win the Europa League, that would be a fantastic achievement. Whether we can win the Premier League and the Europa League this season, I'm not convinced about that.
I'm pushing it a tad there, but but it's maybe worth £1 with the season the way it's going.
If it's 500 to 1, it'd be worth £1.
I'd be quite happy with 5 to 1 and just get £5 back for £1. At least I've made money.
It'd be nice to get 5. It's not going to be 5 to 1, though, is it?
No, it's not.
So we mentioned the spine before, didn't we? Leno, Gabriel, Partey, Aubameyang. I mean, what more could we want at this moment in time? Compared to what we've had, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? And I don't know if it's quite comparable to sort of league.
It's
as good as we've had probably since then.
I mean, he's not far off. I mean, Aubameyang, he's obviously not nowhere near the all-round player that Henry was.
But for goals he is, isn't he?
But for goals he is, exactly, yeah. There's some similarities. And time will tell whether...
Gabriel reminds me a little bit more of maybe Kolo Touré than Sol Campbell in his style and the way that he plays, I think, personally. But again, he was great for 3 or 4 years, wasn't he, playing at the back? So,
excellent.
And so we'll have to see exactly what part his role is when he's playing. But, I mean, if he has anywhere near the impact Patrick Vieira did, then we've certainly done well there, haven't we? Fantastic.
No.
It's the best spine we've had, isn't it? Since them days, actually, we haven't had a spine like that since then. Whether it's comparable, I don't know. But and DWTC said he's going to put $5 on Arsenal, £105 takeout. Well, that's all right, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah, if anyone watching, get the odds for me for a double for us to top 4 and to win the Europa League, because that's what I've been saying for the last few weeks, haven't I?
No, that's different. Top 4 in Europa League, I can go with that. Yeah,
I would, but it wouldn't be. The odds would be next to nothing now, really, compared to what they would have been when I wanted to put the bet on. But
maybe.
But I'd be curious as to what it will be for us to win the league and the Europa League. That'd be just curious, because it's a mental season. Let's not forget, it's a mental season.
That's probably closer to 200 to 1.
Hopefully.
You would imagine it would be, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
So you think it's way too early to compare. Well, yeah, it probably is, but I think the point is it's the best we've had since then by quite some considerable distance as well. When you think about the last 10 years or 15 years even, what the sort of spine and the team that we've had, it's been nowhere near this, has it? The quality that we've got now and the strength as well. I mean, Edu mentioned it in his interview about the sort of physical players that we've got now that we didn't have before. And that's been the change that they've wanted to make, that they've had to make. So, and that's the way that we've gone, isn't it? I mean, Partey's more of a physical presence. Gabriel's more of a physical defender than we've had. And, maybe Willian as well. You mentioned him. So it's looking good. Let's be honest, isn't it? It is looking good. I mean, I know this is the positive podcast and we need to be positive, but there's not a lot to not be positive about if we're really honest. We can scrutinise things and scrutinise them, but ultimately, I think we've got a good reason to be positive at this moment in time, haven't we? And it's great. It's a great time to be an Arsenal fan after the last 10 years or so, which has been quite a struggle at times.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can't wait to see Emile Smith-Rowe in the team as well, like I said earlier. And I maintain, like what I said on my show last night, that he excites me just as much as Saka excites me as a young player. And I'm just desperate for him to get some time on the pitch because I swear now, if he was playing in the Bundesliga for one of these fancy, teams that all these football hipsters go on about all the time, Hoffenheim and Leipzig and Mönchengladbach at the moment, then he would be sought after across. Our fans would be saying, we've got to go after that kid. He's amazing. I bet you, just because he's come through our academy, it's not as exciting to play him. It's too much of a risk. But I bet you if he was playing week in, week out in the Bundesliga, we'll all be drooling over him because I think that kid has got so much quality. And I think he could be the long-term answer to, instead, an hour. But we won't know unless we give him the chance. But the thing is that, just very quickly, the fan base would have to give him that chance and not get on his back. If I was Arteta, I would go in an actual press conference and I would say, I'm giving him the next 10 games, Emile Smith-Rowe, and I would ask all the fans to back him. Don't boo him or go after him if he misplaces one pass here or there or misses a chance. Back him, and you will see the quality. And that's what I would do if I was Arteta. I actually go out and actually say something like that, because I hate the fact that our fans just. As soon as a player has one bad game or even a bad half, they're shit and they should never play for Arsenal ever again. It does my head in. It does my head in. And also the fact that the players get written off for no reason. They just say, no, it's not going to be good enough. People saying that now about Willock and about Nketiah, for example. Nah, not good enough for Arsenal. Based on what? We haven't got a big enough sample size.
Mind you, going back to Sam's comment there about German goalkeepers, people have been saying about Leno as well, that he's not good enough anymore.
Yeah. Honestly, mate, people just have got no patience with anything, not just football, but in any of their lives now, have they? No patience at all. And if something's broken, they'll go and buy a new one rather than try and fix it with 5 minutes with a screwdriver. People don't care anymore. So then it's just a throwaway nation, and they do it with our own footballers in our squad, and it just does my head in. It's snobbish and it's just stupid because we could have the answer to our creative problems right under our noses, and we could just miss it because we haven't got our eyes open.
Of course, the alternative to that is that he isn't going to be good enough, and that might be that. We don't know yet.
We won't know.
Exactly. The point is we don't know, do we, yet? And until he plays. But unfortunately, the football nowadays isn't like where I don't think Arteta can come out and say to any player, maybe apart from Aubameyang, you're going to play the next 10 games, because I don't think football works like that. And if he has 2 or 3 poor games, anybody, they should be left out of the team, regardless of who they are. And that's what football is.
I don't agree. Not when you're trying to blood a youngster. Not when you're trying to blood a youngster. It's a completely different situation as far as.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is the Premier League. It's cut and thrust, isn't it? And I'm not saying that Emile Smith-Rowe isn't going to be good enough. He may well be, and he deserves an opportunity. He definitely does. As Saka's had an opportunity, as Reece Nelson's had opportunities, and he deserves those sort of opportunities when he's fit and whatever. And I'm sure he'll get some opportunities. And then he's got a chance to prove himself. But you wouldn't turn around and say Reece Nelson should get 10 games in a row. You wouldn't say Nketiah should get 10 games in a row. Saka, you could maybe say that he's perhaps deserved that, earned that right with his performances over the last year. And Smith-Rowe would need to earn that right as well, wouldn't he? By having some good games and start to have a real influence when he plays. I know he's not played enough yet, and he needs that chance. I mean, Cam kind of agrees with you. He thinks he's class, and I'm not saying he isn't. I just think at the moment we haven't seen enough of him to really judge him, have we? And he needs to get some game time. Europa League possibly might be a good opportunity. Carabao Cup if we stay in that, stuff like that, and then get him some Premier League minutes as well.
Look at the front three of Borussia Dortmund. Their average age: one's 17, one's 19, one's 20. Is it? I think. Haaland, Reina, and Sancho. They're all good enough. And you know, and it's like Kai Havertz is 21 now, I believe, and he made his debut in 2016. And look where he is now. They've just been bought for what, upwards of, you know, with the add-ons and everything, it comes to about 90 million or something, didn't it? I think Chelsea, if the add-ons come to fruition.
Yeah, with the add-ons.
But they stuck with him. And no one, you can't tell me that Borussia Dortmund and Leverkusen are just small fry. They're battling for Champions League positions in a top quality league, but they're trusted. The managers trust them, and you know, the fans. Like I absolutely, I'd love nothing more than a youngster coming through and making it at Arsenal. It's more exciting, much more exciting than going out and spending 25 million on a player. For me, I'd prefer that every day. But you can't when you said about if you don't do it for 2 or 3 games, you're out. You can't do that with a youngster because they've got to get the experience. They've got to be able to make mistakes. No, they've got to make mistakes because they won't learn from it otherwise. And that's how you build up your experience by making mistakes.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's the way it is, isn't it? You know, any player, whether they're a young player or a more experienced player, if they have a series of under par performances, they should be left out of the team because that's how it works. You can't
now more than ever.
You can't keep doing it because it's to the detriment of the team, isn't it?
No, now more than ever, you've got to give we've got to try with a player like Smith Rowe because we ain't got the money. We've proven that we've hardly got any money. You know, we can't expect because this is the first time that Kroenke has ever bought us a player out of his own pocket ever. And the chances of it happening again very soon are very, very unlikely. But now in this, with no fans in the stadium, that's perfect to blood a youngster as well. And in his position as an attacking midfielder, you can surround him with quality and experience and help that player and guide him through the matches. But you've got to persevere with him. You've got to persevere.
But what happens if, say, you give him his 10 games, right? In those 10 games, Arsenal lose 6 of them, and he doesn't play particularly well. That's his career over.
Do you think that we would lose 6 games under Arteta by putting Smith Rowe in a team who's a quality player? I know, exactly. But you're looking at the worst case scenario. What would happen if at the end of the season we have found a player that has lit up the whole of Europe and made them take notice because of it? You've got to look at it as a positive as well. You know, if he's an absolute pile of shit, he wouldn't be at Arsenal in the squad training with the first team.
The point being, though, you know, I don't think you can say to any player you're going to get 10 games in a row because you don't know every game is different. Every player's at a different level physically each week. And I just think that the team needs to be selected, as Arteta said, on the best team for that particular game. And if that means picking the same as a previous game, then that's right for that game. And if it isn't, if it means changing 6 or 7 of them, then if that's the right thing for the team, for the overall benefit of the team, then that's what needs to happen. It shouldn't be about 1 or 2 players. It should be about what's right for everybody in the squad and in the team. And if a player's good enough, they will get through and they will get minutes, won't they? Because that's how it works. And I think Arsenal, more than any other club, pretty much does give their young players game time. And I think Smith Rowe will get game time. He won't get 10 games in a row at this time, I wouldn't imagine.
The only thing, it's useless giving him the odd 15 minutes here or there as a substitute. Or
well, that's what second is.
Just playing. And it's useless though. When you actually, but the thing is, when you've got, you have to cherry pick the youngster to do that with. What I'm talking about. You can't just do it to all of the young academy youngsters. Just the extra special ones. And I would do that for Smith Rowe because at the end of the day, it's worth the gamble because if he does just take to it like a duck to water and stays fit, he would save us 50 to 60 million quid. He would save us 50 to 60 million quid for going out and buying him that one. Exactly. But it's worth the gamble, isn't it? Worth the gamble, in my opinion, every day of the week.
What do you two guys think, Paul, Ryan? What do you think? Would you throw him in the team now, or not now? But when he's fit, obviously, I don't think he's fit yet, is he?
No,
he's back training he's training. I saw him in a training video this morning.
Oh, he is, okay.
Yeah, I get the point. I mean, in the long run, and it becomes a success and it goes the right way, then absolutely you save money, 50, 60 million on a new player. But if it doesn't go well and you stick with him and you're outside the top four again, that then costs you 20, 30, 40 million because you haven't then got that Champions League or you haven't got that income. So it's
tough. It is tough,
yeah. For me, I would like to see more of him, absolutely. And I think if you're going to say to him, right, I'll give you 10 games, then you do that in the Europa League and you give him the group games in the Europa League and see how that goes to start with. I don't think you can just throw anybody in straight away, certainly not into Premier League games. I think the risk it's too high, especially for us at the minute. We're on our way back up. We're trying to get back into the top four. I think for us, just at this point in time, we're not in a position to be able to take that risk, I don't think. But I would love to see more of him because I think there's
same here.
I would play him over Willian any day of the week. He's got so much more energy. He's just so much faster, and I would have Willian as his backup for a while, being his mentor. I would be so much happier seeing Smith Rowe in the team than Willian, the 33-year-old who's coming to the end of his career. And you could build the team around Smith Rowe to actually support him, just to minimise mistakes. Having him in the team over Willian is not going to make us have a bigger percentage chance of losing that game. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. He's at the right end of the pitch. He would, if you're blooding a youngster at the centre back, I would not do what I'm suggesting because one mistake will cost you. But when you're putting him at the front end of the pitch, especially in the space that Willian's covering, you're not under any risk of it. If he loses the ball, he loses the ball. But he's not going to lose the ball any more than a Willian would. I can virtually guarantee it. And if you actually, like I said, have experience around him to guide him through the game as well. And you know what? This is the best time because we've got no fans and Arteta manages the game from the sidelines. Everyone can hear him. It's the perfect time to blood him because Arteta would be shouting at him now and guiding him through the game himself as well.
You're saying about having experience in with him to minimise those mistakes. For me, Willian is one of the most experienced members of the team in terms of what he's done. For me, it's the risk is when it goes against you. If you need someone we're in a big game away at Man City or somewhere like that, and it's not quite going the right way for you, you need someone like Willian that he knows he's been in that situation before. For me, someone like Smith Rowe, if you were to do that with him this season, you haven't got that experience. And I know that's the only way of getting it is by putting him in that situation. But for me, that's the risk of that is just too high at the minute. I would absolutely play him in the Europa League. I would absolutely play him in the cup games, and I would absolutely have him as an option in the squad. But the risk versus reward for me with that particular situation is too high for me at the moment.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I kind of maybe more swayed towards that argument, if I'm honest, just because.
Then how are they going to get the chance? When you get the player like him, I wouldn't say.
If he gets game time in the Europa League and he does well, then he'll earn his place in the Premier League team, and then he's got the opportunity to play well, hasn't he?
Fair enough. But you can't build up your match fitness and get into your rhythm without having a run of games and just playing the Europa League every couple of weeks. He's not going to get the relevant experience and match fitness and the rhythm. It's that's absolutely fine, no problem. But that is definitely
Martinelli as well. Martinelli came into the League Cup side, then he played the Europa League, so he was playing once every couple of weeks. He proved himself, and then he got opportunities in the Premier League. Saka the same. He got opportunities in the Premier League, and then he proved himself, and now he's regular in the squad. Martinelli will be again, and that's what Smith Rowe will need to do. He'll need to come on in the Europa League, have a couple of good games, play in the League Cup, have a good game. Then he's earned his right to play in the Premier League. Then he gets Premier League game, 2 or 3 Premier League games. If he does well, he earns his right to be a regular member of the first team squad from that point onwards, like the others have. And if he doesn't quite make it, maybe like Reece Nelson, who's been a bit hit and miss, he's been in and out. Then that's what happened. But he needs the opportunity. I totally agree. He needs to have the opportunity, but he needs to earn the opportunity as well to get further.
Absolutely. Yeah. But people are saying that transfer window was a 7.5 or 7.5, 8 out of 10, because we didn't get the creative midfielder that we missed. We didn't get our. That is what we're missing to finish the team. I think everyone's been saying that, right?
Yeah.
So give him the chance to fill that role. That's all I'm saying. Because we didn't get our. It could be the ideal situation to give him a chance. And that's my opinion anyway. But we'll see what happens. I'll just be devastated if he goes without having a proper crack at the whip. Because I'll tell you now,
I think I'll get.
If you're pissed off about Gnabry. The way I feel about Smith Rowe and what I've seen, because I've seen him live a lot, and I honestly think he's got the potential to be another like a Kevin De Bruyne the way he plays. He's very similar in style, and if we end up losing him and he ends up going to a Bayern or another one of the big teams across Europe, I'm going to be pissed off, really pissed off that we missed it. We didn't give him the opportunity.
To be fair, though, I do think he'll get given a chance under Arteta because from what I've heard, Arteta does have a soft spot for Smith Rowe. So,
and he does play the young players. He has given the young players plenty of opportunities, hasn't he? All of them, even sometimes when they maybe haven't always done that great, he still stuck with them and gave faith in them. So I do think he will get an opportunity. It's just it's up to him then, isn't it, to take that opportunity and prove Andrew right and prove that he deserves this plaudits that he's been getting tonight in particular. He needs to go and prove it on the pitch, doesn't he, on a regular basis, which is what Saka's done, which is why Saka's now playing for England and is fully international. And that's you earn that, don't you? You don't get it given, you have to earn it, and that's what Smith Rowe needs to do. And if he gets the opportunity and he's good enough, he will do that, and then he will then push on and have a great career, hopefully, with Arsenal. But Sam agrees. He says, Arteta rates Smith Rowe, and I think he'll get a chance. Yeah, I think he will get a chance. Yeah, let's hope he does. Let's hope that he gets that chance and he takes it, and he does become a big player for us. That'd be great. But at this moment, it's still a bit unknown because you don't know with young players, do you? Some of them push on really well, and some of them, unfortunately, don't quite make it. Like, say, Gnabry's maybe an example. He didn't quite make it at Arsenal, but he's gone on elsewhere and had a fantastic career, hasn't he? And sometimes that one as well. And we sometimes look back at that and think that was a mistake. But it's just one of those things, isn't it, I suppose? And let's hope Smith Rowe gets a chance and does, exactly what Andrew says he thinks he can. But Cam's a big fan of yours, Andrew. He agrees. He's agreed with you all the way through. He did say he likes Smith Rowe at the beginning. So
no, I've been watching football for 40 years now, and I've got. I like to say, you don't sing your own praises very often, but I will do this time. I've actually got a really good eye for a player. No, I'm seriously, I can spot a good player fairly quickly, and I'm fairly consistent with that. I think Smith Rowe is one of the players I've seen that's excited me the most in all my time watching football as a youngster coming through. Genuinely, I feel that strongly about him, and I won't stop going on about him until he gets his chance because I feel that strongly about Emile Smith Rowe. So yeah, I can just see something in him. I can see.
You need to take into account Dave's comment there about him being injured a lot. He is, he's maybe got a little bit of Jack Wilshere's about him, perhaps a little bit.
The thing is with him, he's had injuries, but the good thing is, which gives me a bit of comfort, is that they're separate. They're different injuries. He hasn't got the same thing over and over again like Wilshere did. So I think he's just had a bit of really bad luck, unfortunately. But he's young enough to overcome those. Look at Ramsey when he had his leg snapped in half. It was awful, and he was young enough to come back, thank God. And I think he's not even fully grown yet, has he, Smith Rowe? But I tell you what, he's put a lot of muscle on. If you've seen him recently, he's a unit now. But Yeah, that's the good thing. It's not a recurring injury that he's had, Smith Rowe, so that gives me a bit of comfort on that.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. Because I say another young player coming through our academy and going on to be a regular in the first team and maybe going on the international career would be fantastic, wouldn't it? It's sort of like you said. We all like that, don't we? When it's one of our own, if you like. I know we don't want to use that phrase because it's what they use it down the road, but you do like that, don't you? When you see that happening, and we've had a history of it, haven't we? You know, over the years of great players coming through, and we've got a few now that are on the verge. I mean, one of them has tonight, obviously playing for England, and Ainsley as well. And we've got a few others that are on the verge of a similar maybe path as well, which it's great for us as fans as well, isn't it? But, you know, unfortunately, they don't all make it today as much as we want them all to. They don't always, all of them today. And it's a shame, and that's the reality of it, really. And, you know, I say until Smith Rowe gets his time, his chance, we're not actually really going to know where his career at Arsenal can go. Let's hope he gets the chance and he does it. But at this moment in time, we'll have to see because he does.
If you were him, if you were Smith Rowe, what would you have on the back of your shirt? Would you have Emile or would you have Smith Rowe?
I wouldn't have Emile. No, I'd have Smith Rowe. I think
I might go for Emile.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Mind you, Partey's got Thomas, hasn't he? So you know.
Yeah, that I don't like. That's a shame. That is.
Yeah, it is a shame. Yeah.
What a ruined opportunity putting Thomas on the back of your shirt.
I know, yeah, you'd have Partey, wouldn't you? Party time.
Exactly, yeah, 100%.
Or just have Thomas on it, but number 4. Roll back the years.
Well, number 4,
yeah.
Charge him through the midfield. I mean, Sam's got a point there. You wouldn't play him in a 3-4-3, would you? It'd have to be the 4-3-3,
yeah, or a 4-3 or 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1 as well.
Yeah.
Suit it really well.
Yeah, there's a similar problem to what Ozil's had. He's not going to fit into the system that we've been playing because of his position that he plays and his role in the team.
The thing is, what's a real shame about this window? The one thing that's slightly holding me back as well is the fact that when we got Ceballos back, we haven't got an obligation or an agreement to buy him. That is just such a shame, don't you think? Because he's not our player, and it
doesn't mean we won't be able to sign him, though, does it?
But the thing is, you can see the development he's had already under Arteta. He's a quality player now, and his development he's going to have had under Arteta for two full seasons is going to be putting his price up massively for next summer, and that's the problem. Because we were offered him, weren't we, for 22.5 million in the summer if we could have bought him outright. That's what they said the price was. If he has another great season, which he's clearly going to have another great season, and that could be at least double, if not more, next summer. That's a real shame, isn't it? I think we're going to improve him. Arteta's going to improve him to such a state where we're not going to be able to afford him next summer. That's my worry. No, seriously, that's my worry because it could be priced out of the market. So
Tobias is a bit of a weird one for me because I don't get me wrong, I like him. I really, really, really do like him, and I'd love to see us sign him. But he's a bit of a weird midfielder, isn't he? He's not really. He's not a forward. He's not a number 10 or anything like that, and he's certainly not a defensive midfielder. He's more that box to box kind of.
He's been held back. That's the problem. He's been held back because he's had to drop deep, and because of the players and the squad that we've got and had. That's the role he's had to play. But he'd be much more suited to pushing up a little bit. Not like a number 10, but as an attacking 8, playing really from the centre circle.
He might get more freedom now with Partey, mightn't he?
Exactly. That's the whole thing. It will make a massive... Do you not understand the difference our Partey's going to make? It's going to free so many more players just by having him on the pitch.
Yeah,
because we're going to feel so much more secure. He could release Ceballos to be that.
That's what I think.
Be a lot more expressive on the ball. So I think it's a shame. That's really annoying me because I think when he runs, he's like he really reminds me of Robert Pires. Because he's got that gait with his feet. Slightly stick out.
It's that running style, isn't it?
He's just got Arsenal running through his veins already, I think, Ceballos. He's a proper gooner, isn't he? I just hate the fact that we have to give him back in the summer and can't afford to buy him back. That would really piss me off.
Yeah.
And Real Madrid will get a player that's twice the player that he was when he first signed for us on loan 2 seasons ago.
That's part of the advantage of sending your players on loan, isn't it? That you hope they're going to come back a better player. Like El Neni maybe come back a slightly better player because he's played for a full year and had that kind of game time. So it probably works both ways, I guess, maybe a little bit. But I agree. If we need to be able to try and keep him if we can. But let's see how he gets on this season. I mean, he's got the potential to have a great season, hasn't he? And like you said, now he's got more. We should have more freedom, I think, now with Partey in there. So we'll see how that develops for the rest of the season. But it'll be
perfect partner for Partey. If we have a three, having Xhaka at the moment on the left, Ceballos slightly ahead, and then Partey on the right as a midfield free diamond would be absolutely great. But longer term, even if we play a midfield two, Ceballos and Partey, they really complement each other really well as well because of their skill sets, and they're both completely press resistant. And,
I mean, Sam kind of makes that point there. A bit what Paul was saying before about he's a unique sort of player, isn't he? He's not one or another. You couldn't say he's a defensive mid or he's an attacking mid. He is kind of quite unique, isn't he? Because he does bits of everything, really. He's got that about him, hasn't he? Which is great because he adds a lot to the game when he can do roles in any game, can't he? So, I mean, I'm quite excited to see how that's going to work. The midfield is going to work now going forward for the rest of the season, actually. So, be really interesting to see how that works. But if we'll wrap up now anyway. So just thanks for you guys for joining me tonight. It's been great, actually. We went over quite a lot of stuff as well. Maybe we hadn't planned to, which is always nice. Obviously, we had Andrew's loving with Smith Rowe.
I can't believe the amount of time we've been going on. It's flown by, absolutely flown by, isn't it? 2.5 hours. But sorry about my unexpected rant, but I really feel passionate about that.
It's good, and I say hopefully you'll be proved right. That'd be fantastic. I'm sure we'll hope that you are. I still think that the jury's out a little bit at this moment in time, but we'll see. So I say thanks for you guys for joining me. Paul, where can people find you on social media and all that kind of stuff? Assuming you want to be found.
No, not at the moment. Just over on Twitter at the minute. You can see my handle there at Dorsey281. I am considering doing a bit of YouTube myself, so I'll keep you guys updated with that. Rich, I've already picked your brain a little bit about setting it up and kind of stuff. So I'll keep just over at Twitter at the moment. So come and drop me a follow.
Yeah, fantastic. And Ryan, yourself, obviously, I know I've been on your channel quite a lot, but where can people find you?
Obviously, as you said, you've been on my channel a lot on here on YouTube with the Mr. Arsenal podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at Mr. Arsenal89. And thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on. It's been great. And of course, Andrew as well. I say you're becoming a bit of a regular these days. Where can people find you?
At From Dial Square on Twitter and From Dial Square to Where YouTube channel. Please give it a subscribe and like the videos so we can all help each other out and get seen. There's no competition, like I keep saying on Twitter. There's no competition as far as I'm concerned. I'm always happy to help anyone else out, and I think we're all part of the one family, aren't we? And
exactly.
Room enough for everyone, and I wouldn't get Richard's advice on the thingy though, because he's using the screen share for his videos, and he should be doing that, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm learning. I'm learning.
I'm joking. I'll show you if you want to wait afterwards. I'll tell you what to do. But it's been I really enjoy being on with you, and I really appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you. No, thanks for coming. Thanks for everyone in the chat as well. Obviously, Sam and Cam, Sam and Cam are quite. That'll be a new group. Them two, I think, need to get a group going. DWTT, of course, was in the chat as well. There's been quite a few people in tonight, so thanks for Winston, of course, as usual. Josh as well earlier on was in as well. So thanks for everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do, please subscribe to the channel as well. Lots of good stuff coming up. I've actually got an ex-Arsenal player coming on at some point next week. I'll reveal who that is going to be later on. But hopefully that'll be next week. I'm still trying to.
Please let it be Gus Caesar. Please let it be Gus Caesar.
You'll find out, won't you? It might be Gus Caesar. It might not be. But it's a player who played for Arsenal and had a career elsewhere as well. So I'm quite excited about that. That's coming up. I'll say hopefully next week, but it'll certainly be within the next couple of weeks as well. And I'm sure we'll get another positive Arsenal podcast going as well. Maybe after the Man City game, maybe or maybe just before. I'll see how things are. I know you guys are all busy as well, so we'll see. But I'd say stay tuned for all of that, and I'm sure that'll be good stuff coming up as well. So thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks for you guys as well. Hope you've enjoyed it. So
Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Cam, my brother from another mother, Emil Smith Rowe brother.
He certainly likes.
And Sam.
The Emil Smith Rowe fan club will have to call you too.
Absolutely, yeah. Cheerleader.
Which has been good. So there's a couple of little comments just at the end there, just people that are sort of just going. So yeah, thanks everybody. So thanks for all that. And I say subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Give this a thumbs up as well if you haven't done so already. If you enjoyed it.
Could I say one more very quick thing on my YouTube channel? Yesterday I had Bernard Butler on my show, which was really good.
That was a great thing.
That was a really nice chat with him. Great guitarist and great gooner as well. So check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, it was a good show. I watched that live yesterday. It was brilliant. So yeah, definitely go and watch that back because he's a bit of a legend, Bernard, isn't he? I didn't realise he was an Arsenal fan actually.
Yeah,
what an absolute legend. Lovely guy as well, wasn't he? So
yeah,
that really was really great. Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, so that's a great show there. So yeah, definitely watch that if you haven't already because that would be brilliant. So. Thanks a lot, guys, and I say we'll speak to you again soon. And as always, come on, you Gunners! Come on,
you Gunners! I hate international breaks. I hate international breaks.
Yeah, so do we. You hate.
Cheers, guys.